show, which will include action from all 4 matches in round 1. Please check your local guides for the time in your state or territory. Next Friday night, the live netball continues on ABC2 with the Adelaide Thunderbirds taking to their home court for the first time this season against the Hunter Jaggers from 8 o'clock. And remember, every Saturday afternoon on ABC TV, Super Series Bowls at 5 and head-to-head, the quiz show for sports buffs at 6 o'clock. Enjoy your weekend. Stand by for more live netball on ABC2. I'm Steve Rebellion on behalf of Eloise Southby Halbish and Sam Dennis. Goodbye.
Hello, Michelle Brady with ABC News. Sophie D'Alessio, the girl who suffered severe burns when a car crashed into her childcare centre, has been hit by a car today in Sydney's north. She was hit as she was being pushed in a stroller across a pedestrian crossing.
It's a perfect night in Perth for round 1, with the home crowd expecting a turnaround in the fortunes of the Orioles as they chase a finals berth for the first time. The Orioles have recruited South African international Karen Venter to bolster the defence, while under the attacking post they'll boast some of the tallest shooters going around. The visiting Hunter Jaggers, though, are not without tall timber as well. Jane Orschwager will be making her comeback after snapping an Achilles in round 12 last season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Challenge Stadium for what shapes as an intriguing encounter between the Orioles and the Jaggers. Neil Cross and Liz Boniello with you. And Liz, for this match, I would say both clubs have targeted it as a win if they're going to get up the ladder this season.
Definitely, Neil, and it's the first game of the season, so both teams, the players, will be so eager to get out on court and come away with the points. I think it's going to be a close one. I think Jaggers have got the experience. There's so much tall timber out there, like you said. It'll be up to not only the accuracy of the goalers, but also which team has a stronger mid-court that can deliver the ball to that tall timber.
Let's talk in specifics about both clubs for a start. The Orioles, a lot of expectation.
Definitely, Orioles are hoping to move up the ladder from 6th position last year. It will be tough considering they've lost their 2 goalers, Smith and Lawson, to the AIS program. They've gained Beveridge, which is fantastic for them, but we'll be looking forward to her putting out on a really good season this year.
And the Jaggers, so close last season to the finals, they'll want to go one better.
Yeah, they only just missed out on the Final Four last year. They've got Jane Orschwager back on court, which is exciting for her. A new coach in John Fletcher. Exciting year, I'm sure, ahead of the girls.
I'm sure it'll be an exciting night too. Joining us on the sidelines for the first time, it's welcome to Tanya Armstrong.
Thanks very much, Neil. As you said, a big match for 2 sides, desperate to taste some finals action. The Perth Orioles have never finished higher than 6th, and the Hunter Jaggers just missed the top 4 last season. It was an interesting build-up during the week for the Perth Orioles. I watched them train on Wednesday night, had to drive out to the suburbs. They were kicked off their main training court here at Challenge Stadium. Neil, for a status quo concert.
Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it? But status quo being what it is, I'm sure they're very popular. So's the netball tonight. It's very loud in here, a great atmosphere. Tanya, though, the coaches, they know each other pretty well.
They sure do. John Fletcher was appointed head coach of the Hunter Jaggers during the off-season. He's in fact the first male coach in the history of the competition. He's in his 16th year as a coach, and he spent the bulk of that time here in Western Australia. And a few years ago, he was actually Carol Byers' assistant coach. Earlier, I caught up with both coaches, and I asked Carol Byers how she felt about the Perth Orioles being tipped to be the big improvers this season.
Well, it's certainly something, we've been working on. We won more games last year than we did the year before, and it's something that we want to keep doing. And, we certainly hope that we're really pushing for the 4 this year.
A couple of changes to your side, but you've kept the real nucleus together in your 4th year at the club.
Yeah, we've had a few changes, and, it's great for the girls, but unfortunate for us that we've had girls do really well and they've headed off to the AIS Darters in the Australian 21 and under program. So we lost both our shooters from last year, but we've been fortunate enough that Kate Beveridge has come back from the Darters and added to our group, so we're pretty excited.
Oh, well, whilst I was here for 6 years and certainly got to know a lot of the players well, I've had no sort of insight with them for the last 6 or 7 months, so I'm sure there's quite a bit more been added to their game since I last saw them, but there's a little bit of knowledge which hopefully will help us out.
Last year the Jaegers just missed the finals. You're hoping to rectify that this season?
Oh, yes, certainly. I always think in an 8-team competition, every team should be aiming to make the top 4, and just missing out last year gives us extra incentive to try to push up the ladder this year.
Few nerves around, I'm sure, for this opening game of the season, particularly, as we said, between these two clubs who finished 5th and 6th last season, so there's no doubt an expectation they can go just a little better.
Definitely, that's what we said in the opening, Neil. It's there's a little bit of pressure. There'll be plenty of nerves. Like I said, they've had a very long pre-season, both of these teams, and to get on the board like Welham has just done is important for a team.
First score crucial as we look through the Orioles lineup, but as you mentioned, also Bassett and Beveridge, tall timber up forward, and then you've got Shin in the midcourt with a lot of experience now at Australian level.
Definitely, she'll be crucial. Like I said, the centre court, if they can deliver the ball effectively to their tall timber down there, they may also give themselves plenty of opportunity to come away with the 2 points.
Had a clear umpire's call there of holding, so the Orioles will get a chance to go forward. The Jaegers already just leading by that goal as we look through the Jaegers lineup, and we've already identified Jane Allschwager. There'll be a few nerves for her too, coming back from that very bad injury, a snapped Achilles tendon.
Definitely, she hasn't gone through the state league system at all. She's only had a few practice matches prior to this first Commonwealth Bank Trophy match, so she'll be excited and nervous at the same time.
A goal apiece. And here is Allschwager. It's very, very interesting to see how she moves. She's had a limited pre-season because of that injury. Only about 7 or 8 weeks with the club because she did that injury, and it took her a while to get up and running in full training. Orioles down the court. Nice pass by Shin. Rosman just didn't have anybody inside the circle. Well covered. Now Beveridge will have her opportunity. Oh, reaching over the back. And if that's not a great example of tall timber, long arms, long branches.
We're talking about Bassett, who sits at 193 centimetres and Beveridge at 192. Very unusual for any National League team to have two very tall goalers over the 190 centimetre mark.
Proving effective so far. 3-1 to the home team. It's the 10th year of the CBT competition, and they've only twice won their first game of the season, the Orioles. And that was just knocked out of Allschwager's hand, and so Beckett will have to step aside as Allschwager pops one through.
The last time they met was in round 13 last year. Jaegers 56 defeated Orioles 50, so they have had a history in the 4 matches that they've played each other of being reasonably close matches, so I have no doubt that it'll be any different tonight.
A little bit short there, and they did well to pick up that rebound too. Harvey with the rebound. As you mentioned how close they were, 3 games by a margin between 6 and 10 goals, including 2 6-goal games last season. Overcooked the pass, touched out of court.
Bit ambitious by Jackson.
And Welham looked up as if she thought, well, I didn't get last hand to the ball, but it certainly looked that way, and that's what the umpires thought.
The Jaegers wrapped to have Jackson back on board. Of course, she played in 2004 and had a baby in May last year, and is back in the side again for her perhaps final year.
Obstruction.
Still a goal. And 4-2 to the Orioles. That time they started with Purcell running off from the back third and missed their pass, and that time Shin missing her pass and almost an interception. Menzies was spectacular, or rather, yes, it was Menzies. It was spectacular. They didn't do anything other than get it out of court.
It's a pretty fast pace, isn't it, Neil? Of course, the first game of the season is often well known for that high error rate, particularly in the first quarter. Fantastic pass by Jackson. finding Wellham.
Good vision, wasn't it?
Brilliant. And that's the experience that Jaegers will be rapt to have back on board in their team this year.
Obstruction centre.
Now that there was an example where they may get into trouble with their two shooters who are perhaps not as agile as some, and they just couldn't find a path through there.
Centre third. Release.
Solly called there for
Take it over there.
a step, and then the ball advanced because the ball wasn't given back straight away. Here's Shin. Passing, and they, at the moment, working pretty well inside that circle area.
The interesting thing about the lineup tonight is that we've got such tall timber in each team. However, their opponent is quite short, and in some cases, in Danielle Harvey's case against Bassett, giving away a good 10 centimetres, which is really, really tough from a defensive point of view. The game has to change. They have to keep on the move and put doubt in the centre court's mind as to where they're going to put that ball into their goaler.
Nicely done that time by the Jaegers. So 5 plays 4 and a centre pass for the Orioles. Purcell down the court, another error. We've seen quite a few of those, and as you suggested, it's going to happen.
But it's really up to the team that can settle the quickest, will get into a rhythm and pick up a little bit of momentum, and then increase the goals on the board.
Oh, another mistake. They'll play advantage because there will be a chance here, you'd think, at the other end for... Oh no, she just stepped out of court. That was bad luck for Bassett.
That's it.
She's done well. They played advantage thinking, the umpires correctly, I think, that Bassett was going to be able to enter the circle and get a nice open look at the basket.
Centre third. Move in.
Lots of turnovers in attack. The attackers are contacting, which is not too common.
Well, you'd say they do it all the time.
Well, yeah, I would. Coming from a defensive background. Great intercept by Danielle Harvey. They're certainly turning the ball over, creating plenty of opportunity for the Jaegers. They're just not quite capitalising on it through the midcourt.
Well, you think, from what we've identified with the shooters and that the midcourt is going to play the crucial role. It's almost like the cliche of football. The midfield in Australian football is always the crucial play.
Well, for sure. Jess Shin, of course, offering so much experience, considering her experience with the Australian team over the last couple of years and playing at the Commonwealth Games only a couple months ago.
Advantage offside. Centre contact, Orioles.
So we mentioned how close these clubs are, but Perth has never managed to actually beat Hunter in the 2 years the Jaegers have been in the competition. They got very close, as we know. 6 plays 4. Good start by the Orioles.
You can see the defensive change from the Orioles. They've gone from man-to-man to a zone centre court press. They're covering more space as opposed to they're sitting tight on their opponent. Wasn't so effective.
No, but it's interesting, they do change things up throughout the game. Shin now. A good move by Harvey to find herself free. They'll pop in another one. So 7 plays 5, 6.5 minutes left in the quarter. And Olschwager just showing her athletic ability there. She's got long arms and fantastic ability to pull the ball in one hand.
Deceivingly long arms, so that's where Beckett and Wilcox are going to struggle a little bit with Olschwager in the circle for the Jaegers. It is very difficult to defend.
6 from 6 for Bassett. And a scoreline of 8 playing 6. Olschwager again, though, will narrow the gap to just 1 goal.
Olschwager certainly moving really well at this early stage of the match. She would have just been rapt to get out there finally after being off us with a serious injury for so long.
That is contact wing attack.
Well, I can't imagine there'd be anything aside from a knee, perhaps. I reckon that'd slow you down. But in netball, there'd be nothing to sap the confidence more than snapping an Achilles.
Oh, just talking about it, I'm sure would give a few listeners the shivers. I've had 2 knee reconstructions myself, and they're certainly not much fun either.
Well, I'm doing all the moving there, and it was Olschwager with a big reach again, and from a long way out, she had a crack.
Good defensive pressure by Orioles. They really had to force Jaegers to make several passes before they had that opportunity under the ring by Olschwager.
A couple of penalties, and she finally put it in for an 8-all scoreline. Jaegers have hit back the last 2 in a row, and now they've got the centre pass and an opportunity to take the lead. The Orioles working hard in defence. As you said, they're zoning off, making it very hard to get an entry cleanly into the circle.
Jaegers have been a little bit more patient for the last couple of minutes, which is much better netball because they have been able to capitalise.
Shin forcing her way through and taking possession.
Goal defence contact where you are now, pass or shot.
Rosman picked up then.
That's it, goal attack.
Or the penalty was picked up and Rosman handing the ball over.
Now, it is unusual to see a player at Kate Beveridge's size out at goal attack. If she played for probably any other club team across Australia, she would definitely be back at goal shooter. She would be the focal point. She probably wouldn't even be asked to move out of the circle. But Carol Byers is in a position where she's got these 2 very tall, talented goalers in the one team, so she's got them both out on court.
Bad options either, are they? Shin doing well to get that ball.
Well done, Danielle Harvey as well. Any tip that a defender can get on someone 10 centimetres taller is certainly worth noting.
Barney's contact way.
Okay. The Orioles perhaps a slight advantage in this quarter all the way through. They just seem to be able to stay in front. Naravides, who is nominated as captain tonight, they've got a 3-player rotation of their captaincy this season, which is unusual, I would have thought, for netball, especially, well, there's only 7 players on court.
Definitely, yeah, she shares that role with Blay and Rosman. Unusual not to have a set captain. There's certainly lots of changes. Great shot by Bassett. Certainly changes across the board. There's a lot of co-captaincy roles. Phoenix have been doing it for a number of years. Thunderbirds the last couple of years. Yeah, so different, very different in the way that the clubs are providing that leadership for the team.
On the turnover, they've hit the last 4 in a row, the Orioles, so they're on the bit of a march at the moment. The margin is 4. Beckett down the court quickly. Shin, and ball knocked out, so Shin will get the ball in for the Orioles. Bassett checked her position, and it was just touched as she shot there. Umpire ruling it was touched before it left her hand. Maintains a perfect record, 11 of 11 for Bassett.
What a great start for the first game of the season. You'd be pretty happy with the first quarter. The test will be to see if she can keep that up for the rest of the match.
Well, across last season, she shot at 70%.
But we don't want her retiring this in her career.
That's it.
Orioles looking for 6 in a row. Bassett again, 100%. There she goes. 12 of the 14 goals on the Orioles slate belong to Bassett.
You can still see the zone being worked by the Orioles, really trying to put that pressure on the Jaegers.
Naravides coming over the top there.
Goal defence. Over this way.
Beckett just had a hand around the front there. A little bit early. Oh, Olschwager will be disappointed with that. Margin out to 6.
Throw in. Centre third.
Under a minute to play in this opening quarter. These netball's way. We're waiting for the timekeeper to jump up and...
Danny's contact with defence.
Interesting, with controversy over sirens in AFL football, and netball sticks with the tried and true Timekeeper gets up and advises the umpire time. Shin, ball from the centre pass.
She was looking to delay that. She wasn't sure how long was on the clock.
Scored the last 7 in a row. According to our clock, I'll let you into a secret. There's 20-odd seconds to go, but as we know, the timekeeper is the arbiter of just exactly how long to go. And last opportunity for the Jaegers, quickly down the court. Olschwager will want to get this up. Just gets it away. Good rebound by the Orioles, so inevitably a good finish to the quarter for the Orioles. They hit the last 7 in a row, and at quarter time, they're leading by 7 goals. And we've got the 7-goal margin at quarter time. And Jane Olschwager has been important, as we knew she would be in that first quarter.
Oh, definitely. It was. We were really looking forward to seeing her out there. Again, she's certainly moving very well. She has got a 10-centimetre advantage over her opponent, which can make a difference. She can hold really well under the circle and get some high balls.
Well, it's hard to know where it all changed. In the mid-court, do you think, in that quarter?
Yeah, look, it did. Jaegers certainly started off a little bit ratty. Like we said, the first game of the season, there's lots of nerves, lots of energy out there, but it took them a little bit longer to settle. But look, it's the Orioles who have come through in the last 5 or so minutes. Bassett shooting an incredible 13 from 14 attempts. So, you know, they have been the, certainly finishing off very well for that quarter.
Are you surprised at how they've been able to use Bassett and Beveridge, given we've identified, look, 2 tall players? You don't see players like that running around in the goal shooting and goal attack position.
Yeah, look, it's been really unusual to see two very tall players out on court at the same time, but it's certainly been very, productive, and they've certainly got the goals on the board. So it is just very tough for the defenders to defend. There's certainly the height difference being given away by Harvey and Purcell, which makes it very tough for them.
Goes back where you want to be then, in that middle position, so you can go back and up, or if the lob's there, you can go forward, but you don't want to totally commit when we've got somebody in that front position. Keep working on our rebounds. You started to put some good pressure on Jane at that time, and that's when she starts to miss a goal, so be ready for those rebounds and keep putting that pressure. You're also getting her to drive out a bit, so your zone, she's actually driving out, and they're struggling a little bit with the zone. Doesn't mean we want to do it all the time, but it's a good mix-up. But we need to make sure we get her high and wide on the centre pass, because you just got off a bit early. Yeah. The other thing is you lost her on one centre pass and you ended up on the other side. Were you set up in the wrong position? Or?
We were. That was the long court one. We called this game. I thought she was holding around the corner.
Just read off so that as we're coming down court, we're a little bit more balanced. We're all quite crowded. Need to keep off.
Now, a quick look through those stats that aren't appearing at the moment, but we'll get them in a moment, I'm sure. But we do know, of course, that the key stat is that Bassett is shooting at 93%.
And they've had a 7-goal run, which has been really effective to
Here we go with the second quarter. And immediately an opportunity for Hunter to get one back, and they desperately need to break the run. As we said, the Orioles hit the last 7 of the opening quarter. Rosman. Now Beveridge. That'll boost her confidence too, because she hasn't done much shooting, has she? Hasn't needed to.
No, she hasn't, but she's been in more of a feeder role as well, which is fine. It doesn't matter who shoots the goal. It's as long as the goal goes through the ring.
Olschwager was spectacular, but ineffective in the end. She always looks, the expression on her face, such determination, and such disappointment will register there, I'm sure.
Well, her physical fitness is certainly a strength. She's one of those players that can run out an entire match at probably 150%.
Steph Hop was waiting for jump from the umpire there.
Defence contact, centre third.
So the Orioles will get another chance.
Advantage obstruction, centre.
16 plays 9. And now it's 17 plays 9. Gee, it's been a good start. From midway through that first quarter, they really have shown some very good coordination in their attacking areas.
Now, Harvey and Purcell are really calling for the support of Menzies and Jackson on the outside. They need hands-over pressure over every pass to enable them every opportunity to get a tip or an intercept or a rebound. They need that pressure, not only from each other within the ring, but from their outside teammates.
I think Carol Byers would be excited by this, wouldn't you? Like you, she's probably been thinking about this for the better part of 6 months.
Definitely, it's long pre-season for both teams, but it is only early days, so I'm sure she'd be rapt, but she wouldn't be too excited yet.
Neil, interesting, you mentioned Carol Byers. I spent some time listening to her quarter-time address. She spent a lot of time encouraging the defenders with her attack going so well.
It's Tanya Armstrong sitting down there, having listened to both benches.
Carol Byers also mentioned that she didn't want them to overuse that zone-type defence that they had been bringing on. She still asked for a bit of variety, so she would be asking her players to go back and put the one-on-one pressure on, and then all of a sudden flick on the zone press onto their opponents.
20 plays 10.
We haven't mentioned Bradstock, who's out there. She's replaced Gazzoli for the Jaegers. Bibbed up at wing attack.
And that's obviously an early indication they've had some problems through the midcourt. Chance for the Jaegers. Oh, well done. Good interception. The help there coming across from Beckett.
Obstruction, goal defence, pass or shot, that's it, goal attack.
Pretty straightforward, and Wellham should be able to pop this one in. No, gee, that's a bad miss. And even worse, the tip coming across there from Wilcox. Just broken down through the middle just for a moment.
Move down. Yes.
They really need to capitalise on every single opportunity they get in the attack in the Jaegers, just to reduce the margin.
Oh, all net from Beveridge.
A different problem at the other end, they can't miss.
She's been good, hasn't she? And learned a lot. She's returning from the AIS, as we've mentioned. So she's obviously learned a lot there. And she was part of the Australian squad in the preparation for the Commonwealth Games. She didn't actually make the final 12.
No, she didn't, but she had an opportunity to get caught in at the last minute when Eloise Southby-Helbish got injured 6 weeks before the Com Games started, but it was Megan Anderson who got the call-up. But the experience that she had at such a young age to be involved in that preparation for the Games would be invaluable, and she's bringing that back over to Perth, which Carol Byers and her teammates would certainly appreciate.
This is good pressure by the Orioles, just really frustrating the Jaegers as they try and go forward.
Really making them use the outside of the court as opposed to the centre corridor, which is where your coach would want you to take the ball down the middle.
Except for those opponents, it's pretty easy, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a problem, actually.
Allschwager there with the rebound clearly in the hands, and then it was knocked away by Beckett, so she'll stand aside and Allschwager will get a chance under the post. The Jaegers shooting's not been the best, has it? When you compare it with everything that seems to be going in for the Orioles, the Jaegers shooting at 61%, the Orioles are at 88%. So whatever opportunities they have managed to create, they haven't really capitalised. On the other hand, big advantage too, I guess, when you're that close to the net.
Look, I must admit, Neil, I am really surprised at the result so far. To be down by as many as this, with the experience that the Jaegers have got, yeah, and Jane Aschwager back on court, I'm really surprised that they aren't actually in front or a lot closer than what they are.
Shin now. Beveridge showing great mobility, pulling that ball in. Now Beckett, she'll want to get back in the comfort zone under the net, you'd think.
With the goal defence.
And there was an obstruction there, so Bassett will get another shot and another goal, and an 11-goal lead.
Now, as a defender, I used to hate it when my opposition, the goaler, was shooting in the 90s, like Bassett is now. I would be, you know, if I was Danielle Harvey, I would be certainly doing something different, varying my game, even playing a defensive switch with Purcell. Perhaps Purcell go back on Bassett for a few minutes and see if she can change and put the pressure on.
Bang, there go our stats. Errant pass, I'm sure they weren't passing it to you, Liz.
Contact outside.
I've got a netball under my top as it is. I don't need another netball.
Here's Beveridge. Fair distance out. A lot of confidence, and ball just popped out and out of court.
She's a long-range shooter and certainly well known for that. So that distance wouldn't upset her at all.
Got a great arc on her shot, hasn't she?
A big follow-through, real basketball style.
Oh, they got their signals crossed there. Olschwager was coming forward. Menzies threw the ball back into what she thought was space. Bradstock, in fact, it was, not Menzies. Wrong end of the court.
Rosman working overtime in the centre court to bring that ball down to her teammates. Combining brilliantly with Shin at the moment.
Well, John Fletcher, the first time a male has coached in the, or been the head coach in the National Netball League. He's got his problems at the moment.
Darnage offside and contact advantage.
Contact advantage, and gee, I don't know it was much of an advantage, but the pass in the end turned out all right. Bassett gets her own rebound.
Only just. Harvey was sort of falling backwards for that ball instead of going directly up. She probably could have had that as a clean intercept. She was a little unbalanced.
Counting down, almost an intercept. Well done by Bradstock.
Well kept in.
And again, just overreading it that time, unfortunately. Wilcox just came out and just a half a step from getting to the touch.
Worth having a crack for. If I was coaching, I'd be proud of them for having a go at it. It's a great intercept to get if you do manage to end up with the ball in your hand. Much better play by Jaegers then.
Contact, wing defence.
Contact again. Rosman will get the pass. And again, just the lob ball, exploiting the height beautifully at the moment.
They are making it very tough for the Jaegers defenders.
Beveridge. Well, there was a contact there on Rosman again.
Darnage obstruction centre.
And they go in, use the height first up, and then through two defenders nicely, Beveridge, and released the ball straight away to Bassett, knowing she was free. 92% she keeps her shooting at. And that margin, 27 plays 13.
Orioles just look terrific at this stage of the season. They look fit. They look like they're enjoying their first match out there. And why wouldn't you be when you're in such a, such a good position in front at this stage of the match?
Bassett again. 4.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Olschwager, dangerous pass, threw it across the key, and it was picked off. Again, their ability, the Orioles now, they have just been able to open up the middle third of the court and get it quickly down to their shooters. And Beveridge again. Oh, the bomb.
What a long bomb.
It's out to 16. Orioles hit the last 4 in a row to push it out to 16. Look at that goal shooting percentage. That's a huge difference.
Definitely. Very big difference. So the Jaggers have had some opportunities, but just haven't been able to capitalise on them.
And they haven't got many options in defence in terms of trying to shut the two talls down, have they?
No, like I said, that these players out there have got the opportunity to do a positional switch, which is not actually changing your bib around. Purcell would drop back onto Bassett, Harvey out to the third line. But they haven't tried that. So look, maybe there might be changes. We're unsure about, you know, half-time, what changes may be made.
Dominating virtually all the statistical categories, and they should be too, with a 17-goal lead, but turned the ball over 16 times, the Jaggers, to 13, the Orioles. We charge for Olschwager. A little bit of frustration the way she threw that ball back too. Beveridge taking her time, and ball gets pushed forward by virtue of another mistake, I suppose you'd call it, in defence by the Jaggers. And another one for Bassett. She just keeps on racking them up. She's up to 25 goals.
Purcell's doing her best to keep Beveridge out of the circle. You can see Beveridge just tiring a fraction, being possibly a bit taller. He got more body load to carry around. But Purcell working Beveridge hard outside the circle to limit her opportunities of getting in and having that shot for goal.
I just asked Tanya Armstrong in a minute just if they do have anybody warming up, the Jaggers. If there's any sign from the bench that we may see a change at half-time. It's only 2 minutes or so away. Shin. Got the feeling Rosman wasn't expecting that. It's almost like she was running a pattern and she didn't expect that Shin was going to try and throw the ball to her.
Shin, I think, has got one of the hardest passes in the league. The Rosman having a terrific game, as I've already mentioned. She's really opening things up in the centre court for her teammates.
Now Olschwager. She's only scoring at 60%. That looked like... What would she play there? She did play using the post. I thought she might have played it. There was a little push from Welland, but in the end, it will be a pass only. Nicely done to get it to Olschwager, who wasn't happy that she was close enough. And we talk about confidence. 6 of 11, Olschwager on a shooting, and I'm sure that's affecting how she's playing at the moment.
Beckett's doing extremely well for the Orioles. She's had a couple of rebounds, a couple of tips and intercepts that have given her teammates the opportunity, who have capitalised as well to increase their lead. It's a really great work effort.
Well, under a minute to play. And it's out to 20 goals. Now, these are the sides that finished 5th and 6th last year, and in fact, it was the Jaggers who finished the higher. And yet, the Orioles have shown them a clean pair of heels thus far.
Neil, all of the substitutes for the Jaggers are warming up, and they are expecting a change at half-time.
Thanks for that, Tanya. Very badly needed, I'd suggest. Well, that was lucky. It looked like Olschwager should have got the penalty anyway, and eventually she got the ball.
Definitely looked like the contact, for sure. It was a great ball by Jackson.
Close to half-time now. Shin just tried to take her time, and in the end, they've turned over the ball, so just seconds left in the half. And that is half-time. And a surprise opening, really, with the Orioles 35, the Jaggers 15. It's 20 goals in favour of the Orioles at half-time.
Catalyst on ABC2. It's about life.
And I guess that's the only stat that really matters. I know we'll go through them, but gee whiz, that's a big margin, and the Orioles will be very happy with all those figures.
They certainly would. Now, the standout goaler for the Orioles, Bassett, in at goal shooter, shooting 29 out of 31 at 94%, which is an incredible effort for anyone in half a game of netball. The attempts really telling. Orioles had 40 opportunities as opposed to Jaegers 23, I apologise. So Jaegers just not having the opportunity because they're turning it over as they bring the ball out of defence down into the attack. They've done it 4 more times than the Orioles.
Come back from here.
Well, there should definitely be changes in the lineup for the Jaegers. I'm hoping that Fletcher is confident in someone else that he's got on the bench. Defensively, the Jaegers do need to do something very different. They can really wear the big, tall timber down by blocking them out of the ring for a bit longer, trying a positional switch, and just really lifting their game in that defensive pressure.
There's clear John Fletcher there. He will have to work very, very hard to get his side back. There's no question about that. And they'll have to expend a lot of energy to do it. On the other side of the coin, the Orioles, wow, Carol Byers, she'd be extremely happy. You look at that winning record, just 17%. It's not been a great time for the Orioles under her guidance, but she's done the hard yards. She could capitalise this season.
Yeah, she certainly could. She is looking at getting more wins on the board this year and thus increasing their final position at the end of the year. They look like they've had a very good pre-season. I mentioned that the players looked fit. They look like they're enjoying the opportunity to be out on court for the first time this season, and they're playing exceptionally well. So I'd be interested to know what type of matches they had in preparation to this first game. Of course, in the East Coast, there's more opportunity to play one another in a pre-season tournament. But yeah, Carol Byers, they might be playing the men's or something, but they're looking much stronger.
Well, I know the Thunderbirds spent some time in New Zealand. They played against the New Zealand national teams, and that was their lead into the season. So they have had a strong win tonight, so they'd be very happy with their preparation. And whatever they've done over here, whatever's in the water maybe, it's been very
working. Good. Well, I know Jaegers did play in the pre-season tournament against Phoenix, and we're looking very strong. They only lost by about 4 or 5 in that particular match, but it's a very different story tonight. They're certainly not looking strong.
Well, Tanya, you've been listening to just what's been going on the benches and the coaches. What have you managed to glean off them?
Well, 3 changes to the Hunter Jaegers lineup. The biggest changes have come in defence. Danielle Harvey has switched to goal defence. Emma Costa comes on and takes over from Kimberly Purcell as goalkeeper. She, of course, has a tough job with Peyton Bassett with 29 goals.
Thanks for that, Tanya. You just see the job is really in front of them. What do you think of those changes, Liz? We'll come to that, in fact, in a moment, because we're just about to start the second half. Well, chasing a 20-goal deficit, they've made some changes, the Jaegers. Nothing's changed, though, at their offensive end for Jane Olschwager.
No, it hasn't. She's just not having her best night. Things can change. The third quarter is a crucial one.
It's just those changes, as you see there, they've made quite a few, and as we expected too, they did make some changes in defence.
Definitely. Costa has been brought on. Of course, Costa was at the AIS last year. The height difference, she'll match a little bit better against Bassett, so I'll be interested to see how that challenge go. Harvey out to goal defence. Hopefully she can put pressure on Beveridge and really slow her down.
Well, the advantage, I guess, of Costa is she would have seen everything that Beveridge has to offer because they were at the AIS together.
Well, Costa's back on Bassett, but yeah, certainly she'll be helping Harvey out to slow Beveridge down.
Olschwager just pushed, so she'll get into the circle, and she'll be 1 or 2 on 1 in there. It was only brief, and they couldn't get the ball to any advantage. The Orioles will want to work hard in defence, and as we mentioned, Aravides, guaranteed she'll work hard.
Definitely. Well, the irony of this result thus far in the match is that Wellham and Olschwager have worked together for a couple of years prior to this match. As opposed to Bassett and Beveridge, this is the first year that they're combining together in the national competition, and yet they look like they've had the history of a great partnership.
Shin and Rosman working the ball to Beveridge. Gee, they're working well, though, inside that circle in terms of making space, working into space repeatedly, and it's just showing so nicely on the scoreboard. Clearly, offensively, regardless of what they've been doing, the Jaegers have really struggled. Only 16 goals. Only 15 in the first half. That's just nowhere near good enough at this level.
No, it's not. Ideally, you want to be shooting at the end of the match, having put up and shot through the ring about 50 to 60 goals. So, no, they're not nowhere near that, are they?
Ether spectacular, got it in quickly. Olschwager from fair range and just goes in. Just start to breathe a little easier. But 9 of 15 for Jane Olschwager.
I think the aim for Jaegers in this particular quarter, offside, unfortunately, another quick turnover that they didn't need. The Jaegers will really be aiming just to reduce the margin. Okay, at this point in time, it looks like the game looks well and truly over to the Orioles, but if you're in the Jaegers team, you'll just be working to peg it back, capitalise on every opportunity, minimise your mistakes, and certainly cut down your turnovers completely.
So there, mistake by the Orioles. Beckett just overbalancing and just giving up the ball. Entered into the attacking third, as is Pepperidge then into her defensive third. She's quite happy to give that ball away. Gee, it's a long way back, isn't it? Jane Olschwager. Only the 1 rebound, that's a surprise too, because she has missed quite a number. She's missed 6 shots, and yet she's only collected the 1 rebound.
Yeah, it was Beckett and Wilcox who were able to not just get a clean intercept, occasionally they were able to tip it to one another or tip it to their teammates on the outside, which also created the turnover as well. So just goes to show you don't have to be the tallest person in the goal ring to end up with the ball in your hand from a rebound.
6 rebounds between that pair, and their opponents have collected 2.
Obstruction goalkeeper, Hustle shot.
Beckett with another shot to make it back to that margin, 20 goals. It's all very comfortable for the Orioles at the moment. As we commented throughout, there was an expectation that they would improve this season. Olschwager.
And it is only early days. You made note in the opening that Jaegers were well known to not travel so well. Oh, great intercept by Costa. That's exactly what her teammates need. Beautiful, clean intercept.
But then they just can't get it forward quickly enough, can they?
It's always rewarding when you do get an intercept and your teammates shoot the ball through the ring. Just
Finally,
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that away record, 4 wins, 12 losses.
That speaks for itself, doesn't it? And travelling to Perth, it's the hardest trip. You only do it once in the season. I must, really commend the efforts of the Orioles, who do it every second week, and how much it really, over the years, they must just get it better and better at it. Because it's a tough ask, just with the change, the time difference.
It's a combination again in defence, able to get the rebound for the Orioles, with Beckett and Wilcox working overtime. Nice intercept again. The other end. Costa was good.
Yeah, second intercept in about 2 minutes. That's fantastic.
They look to capitalise, and this is the key. If you go force turnovers, oh, that was lucky. And that was almost at the end of it. It was almost, no, you have it, from Olschwager and Wellham. And they've done it again. Gee, they're fighting hard in there, the 2 defenders. Beckett and Wilcox making life hard. And had a little bit of a run on, and we get this from time to time in netball. Just some mystery illness. Although Jessica Shin has, by the looks of it, gone for the puffer. But you have some suspicions with the Jaegers hitting the last 3 goals. Maybe they were getting a bit of a roll on.
Well, you never know. It is hard to tell, but I appreciate where you're coming from, Neil, that your teams and teams I've played for in the past have also called a doozy timeout just to stop the momentum of your opposition. Funny timeout considering their lead. You'd think it was a silly one to do if it was a fake one, but have no doubt that it is an injury time, and the umpires have to respect that when a player does call it.
Tanya, no damage done from what you could see?
No, she does look a bit short of breath. Had a couple of puffs on the puffer, so a little bit of asthma for Jess Shin.
Now she'll take the centre pass. As we said, the Jaegers have hit the last 3. And almost an intercept. A big stretch coming from Costa and almost picked off her 3rd intercept of the quarter. Anyway, all for naught. John Fletcher, just a chat there with his assistant Rob Wright.
An all-male coaching staff, very unique.
Oh, it's unique everywhere, I would have thought, in major netball and major competitions, but it's a first for the CBT competition.
Hopefully it paves the way for other male coaches interested in coaching at this level.
Really noticed the crowd much, I mean, but they very appreciative of that goal. Carol Byers, she'd be happy. Very, very happy.
Centre contact, Orioles penalty, where she is now. That's it, yes.
So still out at 19 goals, and Rosman with a chance. Beveridge got a bit of a bump, took it in her stride, in her considerable stride, and then maybe it did affect her. That was a poor shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really an air ball, I would say, but...
Maybe because it was an air ball, she'd call it a pass.
Right, okay. A goal of wood, I'm sure.
So the Orioles have hit 3 in a row after they took that time out, having conceded 3 in a row. So the injury timeout worked, if indeed it was a timeout more than an injury timeout. Olschwager hits back. Degree of frustration on that girl's face.
Great defensive effort by Menzies. Had her back to the ball in that centre pass, but managed to turn around at the last second and get a tip to it, and Harvey picked it up.
Oof. Loose, you could say, that pass from Ether. And now they've undone all their good work. No, not quite. Good work again from Costa. Just getting a hand on the ball and then forcing the turnover.
They need to really capitalise on every turnover that they do get off the Orioles, because obviously there's not many in this match.
Vantage obstruction, vantage contact wing.
Working a little harder now. Just got the hand touched, or maybe it was obstruction by Wilcox. It looked, I thought, like the shot went astray as if her hand had been contacted.
It's probably the quickest play we've seen from Olschwager all match. She would be fired up to help her team reduce the margin.
She goes, nice pass. Found some space inside there, Wellham. And now she'll step forward for the shot. So Jaegers 3 in a row again, another little run coming.
Just sharing it, aren't they? Three apiece.
Rosman, as they've done all night, Bassett able to use the height. And the key for everything is Bassett has to be able to shield the drop zone and then use her height properly, and that's what she's been doing all night.
And it's a very hard pass to defend when you're giving away that difference in height. It doesn't matter how hard or what position you're in, if that pass is a really good one, it's very difficult to get a fingertip to it, let alone a clean intercept. Jane back in the same spot, wasn't she?
That's a lack of confidence in that goal shooting area. I was just about to say that. Olschwager now with 15 from 23 at 65%. Overall, 66% is the shooting percentage of the Jaegers. That's against the Orioles, 86%.
I apologise, it was actually Gilmore who I was commenting about before in wing defence, who had her eyes off the ball when she created that turnover, so my apologies.
Forgive you, it's early in the season.
They're a bit rusty as well. Well, not that the girls out there are rusty, but perhaps on the sideline we are.
Well, it doesn't look like the Orioles have been all that rusty, does it? They've done very well. Ether, stretching, shin, long arms. Ether looks full of life in there, doesn't she?
Doesn't she? Little power pack.
Just another look at the stretch from shin. Olschwager, look away.
contact goal defence where you are too.
Now she's really stretching out. She's obviously... look, I do think it's got to affect you. Having a snapped Achilles, coming back, you wouldn't be sure of what you're doing. And I'm sure it did affect her in the first half.
I have no doubt. It took me 3 years probably to get... I'm serious, to get over my... you know, each reconstruction, because physically you're okay, and I spoke to her before the match. Physically she's fine, she's in good shape and should be out here, but mentally that's what you can never appreciate and respect, how they're going mentally and coping with that injury. There's always that doubt as to whether it's okay, but it certainly took me a long time to get over it.
Trying to shield the ball, Olschwager, and that created space for Wellham. She was trying to position her opponent. In the end, she pulled two towards her, and that allowed Wellham to get the ball. 43-26. Orioles well in control. 2.5 minutes or so till three-quarter time. Started off by, well, the turning point really in the match. The last 7 goals of the opening quarter produced a 7-goal lead for the Orioles, and they haven't been headed ever since.
They certainly have not looked back, but I must admit the momentum of the game has changed in that at the very beginning we saw obviously lots of nerves and lots of energy. There was lots of turnovers by both teams. The teams have settled down, and it's been the Orioles have really settled into their game a lot sooner than their opposition, and have obviously made the most of every opportunity they've had in the goal circle, shooting at such high percentages. Another great intercept by Costa, her 3rd or 4th for this particular quarter.
So 3rd according to the stats. Now Olschwager, as we said, she's just attracting them to her, and that's opened the way for Wellham, who obviously was acutely aware of what was happening there.
You speak as if the goalers aren't aware of what they're doing, but they would be very much aware of them leading 1 or 2 players away and creating that opening for their teammate.
Beckett just unable to get the hands in front of Olschwager as a result of the penalty, and now it's 2-on-1 in the goal circle, and Olschwager showing a bit of aggression. They need to show a bit more than that at the moment.
Well, all over the court. We're talking about Olschwager here, but there's 6 other players out there who really need to step up another 10-20% to lift their game and create that pressure and create the turnover.
The ball well and truly advanced then. That would have been disappointing for Bassett. She would have thought she'd sink that the first time. She did the second. But obviously Costa had just got caught for a contact underneath the post. Another turnover. Orioles go forward. Beveridge this time takes her turn at finding space. Saw that move a couple of times from Bassett, reaching over and being able to drag the ball back. That time showing his skills on the left side.
Great passing from the baseline. As a defender, that's exactly what you don't want your opposition to be doing. You want them passing the ball out to the side so you have an opportunity of getting an intercept. Just that height difference, it's really telling.
And right on three-quarter time, another goal. And at three-quarter time, the Perth Orioles 47, the Hunter Jaggers 29. 18 goals, the margin. And you would think that they've pretty much got the match under control, barring maybe some nerves in the final quarter. As we look at some of the efforts of the Orioles, and Kate Beveridge has been very important, and her goal shooting has been the key to the match for them in many ways, or her feeding of the goal shooter, I should say.
Yeah, definitely, Neil. The feeding role that she's taken on in this particular match has been a crucial one. Sure, she hasn't had a lot of ball within the ring. She shot 7 from 12 at 58%. However, it's the work rate of her teammate Bassett back at goal shooter, and her feeding into Bassett along with Rosman and Shin. They're all doing a brilliant job of finding Bassett under the ring.
She's finding a new dimension in many ways to a game, I guess, because she is playing that feeding role rather than being the main shooter.
Yeah, definitely, and I said earlier that normally someone who is as tall as Kate Beveridge at 192 centimetres would normally be back at goal shooter, but she's showing her versatility by playing out at goal attack. She's certainly mobile enough. She's got the fitness up. She did very well in her pre-season fitness test. It'll be interesting to see if she can really carry out the whole game.
Just curious, with her time on the Australian side, is that perhaps one of the things that the Australian selectors have issued as a challenge to her to maybe play in that position as well?
Look, they certainly may have put the, or given her the opportunity, I wouldn't say put the pressure on, but given her the opportunity to play out at goal attack at times. I suppose when you're up in the team along with Cheryl McMahon, there wouldn't be much opportunity to play out there.
Not for a while, you'd think.
No, but it certainly will be a feather in her cap to learn that position very well.
Well, the job's all in front of the Jaggers. There's no doubt about that. We're going to have a listen to John Fletcher speak to his players.
That was a bit better. All right, girls. Now we started getting a bit more motion happening, a bit more movement was good. The hands pressure from you was good, was creating some issues. That's a good job. You ladies keep seeing if the ball's in the air, you've still got to keep having a go at it, okay? In the air, keep having a crack. Keep working hard in the front. We must keep looking to cut hard through there because that's creating opportunity. So we just got to keep going. Opens it up all the time. Doesn't mean we go to it, we keep talking about that. Make sure we're aware of what the second option is out there all the time. So see the first one if it's a goer. If not, see what the second one is and go to it. Keep remembering in the front end, if the, say the GA's over here, where's Tip? The GA's over here and the ball's over here. Keep swinging the chains and you come out and we go in.
Jaggers won that quarter, but still the stats are heavily in favour of the home team.
They certainly are. The penalties, not a lot in it, but certainly the Jaggers being penalised, and the attempts, a telling factor, 56 to 43.
1 quarter to play, 18 goals the margin in favour of the home side.
That is obstruction, win defend.
Jaggers in possession and working hard. Ether took the ball mid-air, advantaged by the call. Quick look through the changes that have been made. And just a couple for the Orioles as the Jaggers score the first one of the quarter.
Johnson on at goalkeeper and Blay in at centre, replacing Shin. So possibly it may have been a serious timeout that she called earlier. Bit of variety. They've got that. They're in a position where they can use their bench with having such a good lead.
The Jaggers with Lincoln coming onto court in goal attack.
Stay out. Come in. Come in. Yep.
And that's her debut in the competition, so it's not a great way to start, is it? Here's your debut in the competition. We're only trailing by the odd 18 goals.
But she did shoot her first basket, so that's certainly fantastic for her to get on court and shoot your first attempt at goal. We congratulate her because it is a terrific effort to be named in a Commonwealth Bank Trophy team and to get on court.
Oh, and starting pretty well, isn't she? 2 from 2. As we just have a look through the quarter-by-quarter scores, as I said during that third quarter, 7 goals was the advantage at quarter time, and that was the last 7 of the quarter that the Orioles hit. Then it was 20 at the halftime break, and then finally 18 at three-quarter time. Byers still barking some instructions out there. Oh, bad fumble. I'll get a word from Tanya Armstrong just on what she saw from her position courtside when the coaches spoke at three-quarter time.
It's very hard to hear, Neil, but plenty of encouragement from John Fletcher. They haven't given up hope. They're just trying to peg a few goals back in this final quarter.
I guess that's all you can do, isn't it? They won that third quarter. They now try and learn some lessons, I guess.
They do, but pegging it back by 2 isn't enough. That third quarter is a crucial one. Of course, it's called the Premiership quarter for a number of reasons. But really, they needed to make a dent in that deficit, and you would be aiming at 7 or 8 to give you an opportunity for that final quarter.
Here's Beveridge well up the court. And just the feed there, and again the arms of Bassett just able to reach out between 2 defenders and take a clean possession.
It was a surprise that the defenders didn't end up with that ball in their hand. And they had front position, certainly good front position, but a bit of luck on Bassett's side then.
Again, good feed coming in from Beveridge. Bassett had room. They passed to her advantage and she shot the goal quite easily. Already a lot busier inside that circle. The Jaggers with Olschwager and Lincoln.
Wing attack contact, Orioles.
Vidi's almost overcooking the pass. She said she doesn't stop running, does she?
No, she certainly doesn't. Giving a red hot go.
She's a police officer, so you'd hate to be running from her, I'd suggest. If you were...
What if you were robbing a bank or something now?
Oh, if you were considering that lifestyle. Orioles 51, Jaggers 32. The opening round, and gee, they look good, the Orioles.
Helen Aravides also got married a few weeks ago, and she took a 9-day break from pre-season. That's all she was allowed for a honeymoon.
Well, that's perhaps the worst pass we've seen all night.
So yeah, big congratulations to Helen and Frank, the newlyweds.
9-day break. I wonder if she actually had a honeymoon.
Yes, they went to Phuket apparently.
Ah, well, there you go, Tanya. With all the inside information about the social lives. Olschwager.
Just under her shooting arm goalkeeper Castle shot. Yep.
Oh, she's fortunate. She got another opportunity.
Just looking at the defensive efforts of the Jaggers, we haven't seen a lot of double teaming on Bassett. We've seen a lot of one-on-one work, but perhaps that could have also been an option for them to go back to Bassett, who's doing the damage. We've seen that Kate Beveridge isn't the one doing the damage in the goal circle. She's doing the damage from a feeding point of view, but maybe a double team back on Bassett might have done the trick or slowed things down or kept her out of the game.
Lincoln with good hands, but then an obstruction, and just as well, because she missed the shot. Second time as well.
Wing attack contact,
belted away, and then there was a contact called, and they will get possession eventually, the Orioles. Vidi's with a bullet pass. And again, they go in to the tall timber. And she doesn't let them down.
This fantastic netball from the Orioles in the first match of the season. They should be, very proud of what they've put out on court, and I'm sure Carol Byers would, and the rest of the support crew and the fitness staff and everyone who's involved in getting a team fit and ready for the season, they would be all very proud of the girls out there tonight.
Orioles wing area. Yes.
Caitlin Bassett had only played 5 games last season, so I'd already mentioned that she was shooting at 70% last season. So this is a good start for her, shooting now at 90%.
Orioles.
They'll still get possession. That was probably a little bit optimistic, that ball into Bassett that time.
Now Bassett set the benchmark for herself. Everyone will expect that every week, won't they?
Beveridge. Well, everyone expects that every week too from her, I guess. The bomb. She said a big arc, almost basketball-like in her follow-through.
The expectation of goalers in your team when I was playing a few years ago with Melbourne Phoenix was that if they shot in the high 80s, both of them, you'd certainly well and truly be in a great position to win a match, and that was great shooting. I know in the league across the Tasman, all their goalers shoot very much similar to what, Bassett's shooting tonight. It's in the high 90s with Irene Van Dyke, often shooting, 99, 100%. So different expectations here in Australia. Certainly the high 80s is a fantastic effort for any bowler.
We have better defenders.
Sorry?
We've had better defenders here in Australia, so 80% seems a lot better.
Good point. Very good point.
They just feel now at 24 goals the margin, sting right out of the match with 7 minutes to go. And the Jaggers are really struggling. Tell you what, that'll be a good comeback if she can get up after that.
Great contest by Johnson against Elschwager. She had front position, which is just perfect. She ended up with the ball in her hands. Well, not quite, but the umpire certainly gave her that opportunity to have the ball in her hands. Now, Orioles' biggest win ever was a 22-goal win against the Ravens back when Adelaide Ravens were in the competition back in 2002. So, you know, they certainly look like beating that and having their biggest win ever.
That'd be something to boast, wouldn't it? A record start to the season. Right now, it's at 25 goals. Beveridge again, or that time, finally they got an arm in there at the right time. Harvey tipping the ball out of court.
Oh, Vantage contact. Goal defence.
And Harvey not breathing too well after that little collision. As you can see there, she's just struggling a bit, and she's called the timeout. Got the feeling that maybe it was an elbow coming through under the ribs, not on purpose, but she really got hit hard.
Just winded slightly by the looks.
That was the intercept at the other end. And Johnston did very well. Just getting
2 3 rolls or something on the ground.
Still battling for breath.
Asking for a pupper. Not quite sure what's actually wrong.
Doesn't look like she's going to come off, though.
Just have a look at that. And
yeah, definitely the knock to the chest.
Well, once your arm's above your head like that, you're wide open, aren't you? And yeah, she didn't have much protection, and Harvey's obviously battling at the moment.
Purcell's taking her spot, so Harvey's sitting down for a rest.
So Purcell back on court. The position she left.
The Orioles have taken the opportunity to make a change while we were distracted.
Centre contact, Jaegers penalty. Just go around.
Just a
where the centre is.
quick look with, as we mentioned, Lazenby onto the court.
That is contact, centre.
And then at the other end, Purcell coming into the Jaggers lineup with Danielle Harvey taking her position on the bench. So all that means is that Harvey will continue to recover. 5 minutes to go in the match. Might take her all of those 5 minutes to actually be able to breathe by the looks of things. As we said, Lazenby coming into the lineup for Beveridge. So Beveridge goes out of the match with 11 goals from 17 at 65%, but more importantly, her ability to feed the ball inside the basket has been crucial in this game.
So Carol Byers certainly making the most of opportunity, getting her players out on court. When a coach has got a team in front by so many, if you can get players out on court and get some experience up, particularly with the younger ones, and those players who don't get the opportunity week in, week out against the more tougher opponents, it's all the better for your team in the long run. Bad pass by Costa, really uncontested.
There's Harvey on her way to the rooms. There's Bassett again, right under the post. 51 goals from 56 attempts, 91%.
Terrific individual effort.
So that Kate Lazenby might want to get among the goals herself. She needs 5 to get 200 in the Commonwealth Bank Trophy competition. Somewhere in her mind, I'm sure that figure will be there. Hasn't got long to do it. 3.5 minutes or so. The double team that you've been calling for finally came about, and the Orioles in the end able to maintain possession. Just Bassett perhaps not happy with her rebounding stats, so she missed that and then got her own rebound.
She looked a little bit lazy. It looked like she'd lost concentration then for that couple of seconds in the entire match.
another big long ball. That was asking a lot, wasn't it? I think probably Blade just getting a little bit lazy towards the end of the match. Clearly both sides know it's all over. Olschwager. And just maybe even a little bit too cute there.
Great steal by Johnson. Blay and Johnson have settled into this lineup perfectly.
Oh, Lazenby with the most fortuitous of bounces, and she gets closer to that 200 goal mark. Just. 2.5 minutes left.
Rosman with another brilliant drive. One straight drive, hitting more or less the top of the circle. Perfect position to be feeding her goalers.
And a bit of a bump, and she thought, well, I'm going to get it anyway. I might as well just throw up the shot.
On one leg.
On one leg. Lazily, if you like. 20 goals from 30 attempts for Olschwager.
Beckett's had, in at goal defence for Orioles, has had a really strong match. Really worked very hard with Wilcox for 3/4 of the match, and now with Johnson, despite the height difference given away earlier.
Those turnovers just blowing out for both sides, aren't they? We noticed in the first 5-10 minutes, perhaps, that both sides were just not valuing the ball, and maybe in their enthusiasm at the start of the season, they were just turning it over so often. But through the middle stages of the match, certainly the Orioles made the most of things. And now, as we wind the clock down to just over a minute to go, both sides clearly in somewhat of cruise mode, if you like. Oh, brilliant work.
They actually look tired, don't they? I suppose so much energy was focused on tonight's match and used in the preparation that, yeah, they just all look a little bit tired and probably looking forward to the end of the match.
Well, I guess there's nothing like that match pressure, is there? You just don't know how fit you are until you go out there and run around and stop and turn around and then take the occasional hit.
Exactly. It's they've both had obviously very tough pre-seasons over the last 4 or 5 months, but it isn't until you get out in the competition that you know exactly where you stand with your fitness levels.
30 seconds or so left in this one, and it might as well be all over. 30 goals the margin. It will be a record margin. The Orioles also have in their keeping another record, the record goal score for their club. So in the 10th season, plenty to celebrate. Olschwager just handing the ball back. And they won't get another centre pass because it's all over. So a record winning margin, 67 plays 38. The Orioles would be very happy to their season 2006 start. And why not? Came into this match with expectations that the Orioles, having finished 6th last season, would improve. And as it turns out, they really did improve. They've jumped for Hunter. And the Jaegers finished 5th last season, so already the Orioles have demonstrated that they can make a leap up the ladder this season. They've never made the finals in the history of the competition, but Carol Byers would be very happy with her team's start. It's only her 8th win in her 4th season now at the club, so in 3 completed seasons she only had 7 wins and 35 losses. And one of the heroes of the match is with Tanya.
Caitlin Bassett, what a start to the season.
Thanks. Yeah, it felt really good out there tonight. I was a bit worried, but yeah, came together, I suppose.
What were you worried about? It looked like you couldn't miss.
Oh yeah, missing shots obviously, but physical pressure is something I'm getting used to out there on the court. So yeah, just overcoming physical pressure, I suppose.
You and Kate Beveridge look like you were having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, she's a great girl. She's bombing them in. I love her. Yeah, wish she'd do more of them.
I think you shot at 90% tonight. How long can you keep that up for? If you can for the whole season, it's pretty unusual.
Yeah, well, let's just see what we can do.
Thanks very much, Caitlin, and here's Liz.
I've got I've got Helen Aradivas with us. What were you going to say? Congratulations on a fantastic win. First game of the season. How exciting was it for you to get out on court for the first time?
Yeah, it was great to finally get there. As we were saying before in the change rooms, it's been a long 6 months for us pre-season wise. So to finally get out there and put it on the game and actually come away with a win was awesome, yeah.
Do you think the turning point was in the first quarter where you had a 7-goal lead and run on? That really turned for us, that it really changed the game, and Jaegers really struggled from there on in.
Yeah, I guess any run on is going to lift any team, and I guess we ran with it and kept going with that, which was the main thing. Had we have let them back in the game, I think it may have been, like you said, you know, a different story, and that was certainly the turning point. But awesome to the girls to actually run on with that lead, which was really good.
Definitely, but you must be very, very pleased with your goalers. For Bassett to shoot an incredible amount. In the end, what was it, 54 from 60 at 90%?
Yeah, she has come a long way. I mean, she just turns 18 at the end of the month. So, yeah, she's going to be a great little player. And, I mean, she stepped up tonight, which was really, really good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Helen. Over to Tanya with Carol Byers.
Carol, what a great start to the season. You're worried about the warm down. You're thinking of next week. What does this do for your season, setting it up like this?
Oh, it's a great start, really big confidence boost. You know, it's one of those teams that, you know, we're hoping that we're going to push for a 4th spot, and we finished 6th last year, 1 behind Jaegers. So, you know, it's a great win for us, and to win so convincingly is very exciting.
A record win. Did you think they could do that first up?
No, I didn't think we could have a record win, and we hadn't beaten Jaegers yet since they've been in the competition either. So, you know, history-making season, we hope.
Nice to get one up on John, your old mate.
Yeah, it certainly is, but I know what it's like. I went through the hard yards, you know, my first year and in coaching, and it's difficult. And so you really want to start with a nice win to get a bit of confidence, but, you know, he'll do well.
What a great start by your shooters as well, Kate and Caitlin, fantastic in front of goals.
Yeah, they're both really confident shooters and prepared to go to the post, and that's something, obviously, that we want to keep doing.
Thanks, Carol. Great time. Great tonight. Here's Liz with one of the Hunter Jaegers.
We've got Jane here. Well, commiserations, Jane. A very disappointing result. How do you feel walking away with a 29-goal deficit?
I guess it's not the happiest day for the Jaegers. That's something that we need to work on, most certainly. We were coming out here for a win, as the Orioles were as well, so they played a very good match, and we didn't counteract it.
I would have thought leading into this match, you guys were going to come away with the win. I was predicting perhaps an 8-goal victory. It wasn't meant to be. They had a great run in the first quarter, and it just looked like you struggled from there on in.
Yeah, we did. I guess we matched it with them until they started to get that lead. Once they found the opportunities to get to the circle edge, then it seems to be all over from there, because, I mean, those goalies were certainly hitting the mark every time, and I guess we were missing a few vital ones, myself included.
For sure, Bassett and Beveridge were unstoppable tonight, particularly up against Purcell and Harvey with the height difference. But on to your match personally, to come back after a serious Achilles injury, how did it feel being back out on court again?
It was certainly exciting running out there, but yeah, nerves were certainly aplenty from probably going back to the first time I played National League. I just very nervous. I didn't want to do the same thing again, so you know, maybe that was to do with what was going on, but you know, you can never prepare yourself for that sort of thing, so the best thing to do is just to try and work through it, and luckily John gave me the opportunity to do that.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you well for the rest of the season. Thank you so much, Jane.
Well, what a game. And the Orioles will be very happy with their start to the season. They were 8-all in the first quarter, and in the closing minutes, they hit 7 in a row and really took control of the match. 7 goals in a row to lead 15-8 at quarter time. And then after that, pretty much the Orioles controlled the contest. It was 35-15 at half-time, a 20-goal margin. And we've already talked about the goal shooters in Bassett and Beveridge holding the key. Bassett shooting at 90% throughout, while at the other end, well, they really did struggle, the shooters from the Jaegers, and I guess that would be their biggest disappointment. They just couldn't find any pattern in their play.
They certainly couldn't find any momentum. I think the pressure of the Orioles throughout the entire court was really, really good, and it certainly paid off. Not just the great shooting stats, but defensively they all had a great game. Obviously, the attempt at goal, Orioles had so much more than the Jaegers. They capitalised on it, shooting at 85%. We've mentioned Bassett on a personal note and how well she did, shooting at 90%. The intercepts, surprisingly enough, were going the Jaegers' way, and the rebounds back to the Orioles' way. But yeah, certainly all Orioles.
Well, it tips all the right things for the Orioles, doesn't it? Because it's their biggest win ever, their biggest score ever. It's just a fantastic start to their season. It's only the third time in 10 years they managed to win in the first round. So everything's been great for them. Let's have a look at the other results from around the league because, of course, they've been completed tonight with the Swifts over the Kestrels. Surprisingly, I thought, a little bit close, 46 plays 35. The Thunderbirds, way too strong for the Darters, 68 to 37. And the Orioles by 67 to 38, as we know, over the Jaegers. And then the Phoenix over the Firebirds. That was, well, it was a real tough contest because the Firebirds were up for quite some time in the first half, but eventually it was a 12-goal margin. You can see the highlights from all those games on our netball program, and check your local guides because it'll be on the main ABC channel, but at different times in every state. Head-to-head, that's our ultimate quiz competition. Ultimate actually might be spelt better than that. I shouldn't point it out, but I will, and that's at 6 o'clock. And enjoy that on Saturday on ABC TV. And we've got ahead of us, the Thunderbirds against the Jaegers is next week's match of the round. So it doesn't get any easier for the Jaegers. They have to come across the continent to play in Perth. They get beaten, and now they have to go home and then go halfway across the continent to meet the Thunderbirds in Adelaide. And that match will be live on our ABC2 digital channel from 8 o'clock next Friday night. We look forward to that one.
Fantastic. It should be a good one. But yeah, tough ask for the Jaegers having to travel 2 weeks running.
Okay, well, this was a really interesting contest. It wasn't quite as close as we thought, wasn't quite as intriguing as we thought, but I'm sure that the Orioles will be very, very happy with the result.
Carol Byers would be very impressed with her team. They played sensational netball throughout the entire match. And I think, you know, it looks like the pre-season that they've put in has certainly paid off. So it's hopefully the sky's the limit for this year, for them this year, and they just step up.
You would think so. You would think that they have now a big chance, and confidence is such an important thing in all sport, and they would certainly draw a lot of confidence after this result tonight. Look, thanks for your company today. It's been fantastic to have the start of the season just so optimistic for a side like the Orioles who've never made the finals before. Thanks also to Tanya Armstrong. Tanya, I'm sure you enjoyed the match.
Fantastic. Looking forward to the rest of the season.
Tanya Armstrong joining us there. Thanks to Liz Boniella. I'll get
Boniella,
that. I've got it right. Very good. A great win, of course, for the Orioles. A record win for the Orioles by 29 goals. Thanks for your company on behalf of the entire ABC crew. We'll catch you next time. This is Netball on the ABC.
The remarkable REM, recorded live in...
Totally normal.
And Olschwager 2 from 3, Wellham 1 from 2. They just had so little.
And although they had a brilliant match,
shows what a good judge I am.
that they had the most turnovers in. So
Wanted to get right, and I really think the boys got it really right today. They play our style of footy, but the chases, the tackles, the smothers, the talks, the instructions, really were the difference today, I think, with us.
It was a pretty awful first half, frankly, from spectators, both here at the ground and we look at it differently from you, of course. But you got your game going a little bit in the end. But you don't seem to be playing as well as you were last year at this stage.
No, certainly not. We've got a different group this year, and it's a younger group. I just think as we sort of play a little bit more footy together, I think all our young blokes will really team together. And we've got a real solid 5 weeks in front of us now because of our bad start. It's a good start in the right direction with this one, but you know, we certainly haven't got the same list as what last year, but you know, they have a go, and as long as we have a go, we'll get the results.
You've got Troy Mitchell and Steve Creddy helping you out. Who did you see? We gave the award to James, but Podzielli, who did you think was good for you guys?
Oh, look, I think Pods, you know, I think he got 8-3 or whatever, but up the ground further, I think our back six really played well together. I thought Geordie Barham was a good leader for our back six, and really got competitive, got a one-on-one contest and won his fair share of the footy. So I thought Geordie Barham was probably one of our best.
Good here, Simon. 2 wins and 3 losses, back on the winning list. 63 points to the Werribee coach, Simon Atkins.
And finally, the sense of a smile on the face of Simon Atkins, and they've got Geelong next week in round 7. Back to that point you were making about Box Hill, where are they at?
Well, I take your point about, say, blokes might be coming through, but if blokes are coming through and they're not ready to play, then they ought to be interchanged, and there ought to be players who are pushing them up for a game. This would suggest that Box Hill or Hawthorn's depth is pretty low. They look terrible. I mean, they got slaughtered last week, and today they turned the ball over. It was kiddie stuff. If kids in the park would turn the ball over in the back half from kickings like they did, they would get a shellacking. So they were terrible, and Werribee aren't playing at their top, and yet they were able to do it too easily. So Box Hill have got to perform. They get on TV today. They're going to put their best foot forward, Pete.
So some signs of optimism for Werribee?
Oh, yes, there's no doubt about it. They've got enough good players, and I think with the doggies doing well too, you know, those blokes come down and they look well drilled. And when you've got Podsy Adley at full forward, he gets your 8. He's always dangerous, Pete. Now, they look all right. They'll come good too.
Here's the song. Yes, well done to the Tigers today. We're rapidly running out of time. Quickly a look at tomorrow's games because there are no other games on today. Take us through.
Well, there'll be a ripper down at the old rivals, Willie and Coburg, and the big celebrations there for those premiership teams. I think Coburg are a chance there, Pete.
And Bullants probably against the Scorpions.
Yeah, good side, Bullants.
Sandy North Ballarat will be terrific.
Yeah.
Frankston against Port Melbourne, they'll be the favourites. Next week we're going to Windy Hill.
Beauty.
And it's going to be Bendigo versus Tasmania, and we'll hope for a bit of contest there.
We run out of time.
We are. So let's go. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll look forward to your company next week when we venture to Windy Hill for round 7 of VFL Football 2006. On behalf of all of the team, we'll say goodbye from Chirnside Park.
From Sea Change to Lord of the Rings. You're nervous?
I am. I'm extremely nervous.
He's one of our most respected stars.
I've never been hugely ambitious.
Monday, David Wenham opens up.
So I'm nude.
In a rare TV interview.
Women all over Australia going, what was that like?
And from living on the street to acclaimed author.
We don't call that addition, we call it success.
Meet Lee Stringer.
That's a great question because that is something facing me.
Enough Road, 9:35 Monday. Rocket Man, coming soon to ABC.
This illness is what we call manic depression.
At the age of 37, Vincent van Gogh's life was unraveling.
He produced that poignant self-portrait with the bandaged ear.
He was admitted to the asylum of Saint-Remy.
This is Vincent's cell.
There, Vincent found refuge and painted like a man possessed.
But just as it was all going so well, disaster struck.
Vincent, the full story, concludes 9:30 tomorrow.
Fitz is on a mission.
I'm pursuing the truth.
Despite what the evidence shows.
You didn't kill us, Boo.
Despite what the suspect says.
I know you did it!
Despite what the police think.
I believe in atonement, Mr. Harvey.
Confidence is good.
I'm listening.
Sometimes arrogance is even better.
People who spout about the truth, they're usually the biggest liars in the world.
A cracker. 9:25 tonight.
first home game, and they hope their second win. That's the simple mission for the Thunderbirds, who have never missed the finals in the 9 years of the league. They face a chastened Hunter Jaegers, who were humbled by the Orioles last week. Things can only get better, unless, of course, they don't. Adelaide fans always turn up in good numbers to make plenty of noise, and they'll make things plenty difficult for the Jaegers. Welcome, everyone. The Thunderbirds-Jaegers game is our main match here in round 2. That's coming up shortly, along with an interview with a real pioneer of the sport, John Fletcher. First up, though, we're going to catch up with the Sydney Swifts to see if they can build on their first round momentum. They were hosting the Queensland Firebirds, to whom they have never lost. We sent Nick Edwards out to Olympic Park.
Thanks, Steve. Well, the Sydney Swifts are back on their home court for the first time this season, and they'll be buoyed by last weekend's 11-goal win over the Melbourne Kestrels and aiming for a second straight victory to continue an unbeaten start to the season. Now, the Queensland Firebirds will have to overcome some daunting statistics if they're to score an upset win. In the past 18 encounters between these two sides, the Sydney Swifts have proved victorious on every single occasion. But the Firebirds will be full of confidence after their encouraging round 1 loss to the Melbourne Phoenix. Well, Vicky Wilson, the Firebirds have never beaten the Swifts in the competition history. How do you plan to do it tonight?
Well, we've come awfully close on a number of occasions. Been a number of things we've had to address at training. I thought we started particularly strongly against the Phoenix last week, but we let them get away with too much in that third quarter. So defensively, we hope to pick up a lot more ball, particularly with our forward line in the mid-third. So we really need to help our defenders out a lot more.
Sydney's attack was bolstered for the match with the return of Australian representative shooter Catherine Cox.
I'm thrilled to be back. It's been a long time since the Swifts have actually been together because of Aussie commitments and people being injured and all the rest of it. So to finally be back in this team is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
The Firebirds looked determined to make a good start and with 2 quick goals took an early lead. But it was quickly evident that a major upset was unlikely. Cox looked in great touch. Susan Prattley was just as effective in attack, and Sydney's new goal-shooting partnership looked in ominous form. With Liz Ellis dominant in defence, Sydney was well in control by half-time, leading 38 goals to 21, as Vicky Wilson looked to rally her troops.
We're not to deliver the ball, we're so far off, and we work the angles.
The home side was in cruise control in the second half, so much so that they rested their starting shooters in the final term as they wrapped up an easy victory.
We didn't stop them when we shot up. We let the game roll on, and that's the type of team, though, you can't get them a sniff and they'll just run all over the top of you.
So a comprehensive 33-goal victory by the home side tonight, 71 to 38, and I'm joined by Swifts defender Alison Broadbent. And Alison, a pretty impressive victory.
Look, we're pretty happy with that. We wanted to come out here and show our Sydney crowd what we're made of, and they gave Firebirds gave the Phoenix a bit of a run for their money last week, and we wanted to get out there and be nice and strong, and I think we've shown that tonight.
And some big news for yourself during the week. You've announced your retirement from international netball.
I have. I feel like a bit of a veteran, but yeah, it just felt like the right time for me to go, and I've enjoyed my time there. I've thoroughly enjoyed the Commonwealth Games and moving on to bigger and better things, and I'm really looking forward to this year with the Swifts.
Well, Alison, congratulations on tonight. That wraps up things here from the Sydney Olympic Park Sports Centre. Now it's across to Challenge Stadium in Perth, where Clint Wheeldon picks up the action.
Since the National Netball League began, the fans here at Challenge Stadium haven't had much to cheer about. But season 2006 began oh so brightly for the Orioles with a big win over Hunter. That night, the Orioles set no less than 4 separate records. Their biggest winning margin, their highest score, the highest number of goals scored by a Perth shooter. Caitlin Bassett hit 54, and in doing so, became the youngest shooter in the history of the league to score more than 50 goals in a game. But tonight, the Orioles were looking to set another record. They'd never won back-to-back games at the start of the season. The Kestrels arrived in Perth after an 11-goal opening round loss to the Swifts. The Melbourne side had beaten the Orioles in the past 8 games between the clubs and had pinpointed Perth shooters Bassett and Kate Beveridge as the players to stop. And it was the Orioles' tall timber that dominated the early stages. Perth stormed away to a 7-goal lead in the first quarter as Bassett and Beveridge made the most of their opportunities. But slowly the Kestrels fought their way back into the match. Bianca Franklin and Caitlin Thwaites were shooting at 89% in the opening term, and by the end of the quarter, the Melbourne side had clawed back to level the score at 16-all. The second term was a thriller. The lead changed hands on 6 occasions, and while Emma Beckett and Larissa Wilcox were working overtime for the Orioles in defence, the Kestrels led by a goal at half-time, 31-30. The visitors benched Thwaite in the third term, and the game turned. Perth's defence lifted, and the home side built a 7-goal lead at the final change. The Orioles made a stunning start to the fourth quarter, setting up a 10-goal lead. It was the biggest of the match. Thwaite's reintroduction saw the Kestrels storm back into the contest. She would finish with 19 goals from 20 attempts. But Bassett's 47 goals at 81% was more influential, as Perth survived a nervous finish to set a new mark for its highest score against the Kestrels with a 59-53 goal victory. The Orioles' perfect start to the season remains intact.
Yeah, I think we're certainly getting, a greater depth of talent, and, we're starting to use the ball when we get it and starting to put a lot more pressure on the opposition, and getting that mixture of youth and experience, what will only help us in the future.
And what a way to start the season.
Yeah, 2 in a row. I still can't believe it. It's fantastic. But then again, we play Swifts next week, so tough one to come up with again.
Finally, everyone's just got that little bit more experience. We've got a lot of height in our circle, a lot of versatility, and the thing is we've still got a bench that can come on and do just as good a job.
Look, I'm still positive. I've still got a positive outlook for the rest of the season, and I think, we're right in both the matches that we've had, and we're coming together really well.
So the Orioles go 2 from 2 at the start of the season for the first time in the club's history. And the win tonight was their first over the Kestrels since 2001. That's it from Perth.
Thanks, Clint. It's the Melbourne Phoenix up against the AIS Canberra Darters at the State Netball and Hockey Centre in Melbourne. The Phoenix started the season with a 12-goal win against the Queensland Firebirds last week, while the Darters were thrashed by the Adelaide Thunderbirds. And you'd expect the Darters would have their work cut out again tonight against one of the powerhouses of Australian netball. The Phoenix fans will get their first look at the new lineup after the retirement of star goal shooter Eloise Southby-Helbig, who will be honoured at half-time. Have you had to restructure significantly?
No, not a great deal. We're just fine-tuning what we perhaps were doing last year, but just adding that extra pace and speed onto the ball. We want to make them earn every ball they get.
What the Darters lack in experience, they make up for in height. Despite missing several players with a bout of gastro going through the AIS, the Darters were able to exploit their height advantage early in the first quarter through goal attack Janelle Lawson and goal shooter Rachel Knight. The AIS came out firing, moving to an early lead. Phoenix recruit, former Kestrels goal shooter Sinner Kidd, kept Melbourne level pegging in the early stages. Late in the first term, Phoenix pressure induced turnovers, which were topped off with brilliant passing through centre court. The Phoenix dominated the last 5 minutes of the term, scoring 12 unanswered goals. Melbourne added another 19-4 in the second quarter to lead 40-13 at half-time. Sinner Kidd proving a handy replacement after the sudden retirement of Eloise Southby-Helbig.
The impact on my ankle was too much, and if I kept playing, it would lead to arthritis and things like that. So as soon as they said that A word, I thought, no, it's time to give up, and retired gracefully and not be a huck, and I finished on a premiership, and it was just a very special time and a great career with the Melbourne Phoenix.
The Darters regained composure in the second half and continued to fight for every possession. But the contest was effectively over. Sherelle McMahon shot at 93% on her 29 attempts on goal. Co-captain Bianca Chatfield was outstanding in defence, and filling the big shoes of Eloise Southby-Helbig, Sinner Kidd scored 31 goals from 42 attempts. Pleasing signs early?
Yeah, look, there was, and again, I think we just haven't got faith in ourselves yet. I think when a little bit more pressure was put on, we then collapsed a little bit. But I was pleased. We didn't drop our heads, and we could have.
McMahon says the Phoenix will continue to improve as the players get more court time together.
This group, especially the shooting lineup that was on, hasn't played together a lot, so we'll just continue to work on that. We know that our ball skills are really good, and when we do get the ball moving, it's hard to defend that.
Well, that's all from the State Netball and Hockey Centre here tonight. It's the Melbourne Phoenix 62, the AIS Canberra Darters 30.
Well, netball needs more men in the sport. I know there are lots of dedicated netball dads and husbands, but at the National League coalface, I've been feeling a bit lonely for the last 9 years, but now I've got some company. And John Fletcher, how did you get involved in netball?
Oh, that's a long story, Steve. About 20 years ago in Tasmania, I was playing a game of basketball, and after the basketball match, a few of my mates were having a couple of beers, and I got asked to fill in for a mixed netball team that night, and from there it developed into playing netball, coaching netball, and now it became a career. Over here too, before you leave, just have a look at some of the 1%ers that we might add to improve the program, and you think about something you might want to add to that, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about our game plan.
As a man in netball, how have you gone getting respect in the sport?
Oh, I think that's come over a process of years, having started coaching at the grassroots level and then coaching A-grade teams and then eventually moving to state sides. I think just over a process of years and working with different people, the respect's grown from that.
Do you feel like a bit of a pioneer, you know, first male coach in the CBT?
Oh, I certainly do. I think it's, I'm very honoured to be given the opportunity by New South Wales Netball to work in the CBT. I've been, I suppose, yeah, I've been a little bit of a pioneer in other times too, coaching stateside. So to me, it's not all that new, but to others it probably is. So you've got to just challenge yourself. And if you're not challenging yourself, make sure, as a partner, you challenge them then. Okay? So don't be happy for your partner to be average. You make sure you make your partner a better player. And change direction. What I really look to achieve is trying to get the maximum out of everybody I work with and giving them every opportunity to become the best they possibly can be.
Have you set yourself some goals for the Jaegers this year?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about wanting to make the finals, and I think any team in the competition wishes to do that, and we're no different to anybody else. We've had a lot of change here over the last four or 5 months with new players, new coaching staff, so our goal really is to make a very sustainable club and a powerful club that's going to be around for a long time and be one of the top teams for many years to come. Try to get the whole body behind the ball. If you can get 2 hands to it, will be good. Okay, moving as quick as we can.
He's a good bloke. He's a bit short, so most of the time I can't hear what he's saying. But no, he's a lot of fun, and he's fairly intense at times, but excitable in other times as well.
Don't be last. If you're last 2 in a race, we'll do some push-ups. Don't be last. Get a stronger turn. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do that. It's quite good. Do that.
I think he knows how to relax. I get the feeling we haven't had much chance to sit back and enjoy ourselves so much yet. We've been training pretty hard, but I sort of get that feeling that he doesn't mind a beer.
So defend to be a bit dumb for the moment. When we get balked, we step across. So we're following where the flow of the ball goes. I'm not sure how these girls are described because they're only getting to know me. I think hopefully they see me as a fair and honest sort of character. The ones who've worked with me before would probably think I'm a bit unusual and a bit eccentric.
He's probably got an eccentric sense of humour. Yeah, he makes a few sarcastic jokes and stuff all the time, but yeah, he's pretty normal though.
I'm very much in getting every individual to become the best they can be, not just on the netball court, but with whatever else they do in their life as well. I try to help see if we can influence that through our netball.
Here we go at Etzer Park with the Jaegers in possession with Jackson, and they will be desperately keen to start, finish and put a better middle together than they did last week. I just think that Jane Altschwager, and you were there, Liz, probably wasn't 100% confident on that ankle that she's had trouble with. As Wellham puts up the first shot and Reddy brings down the first rebound.
Of course, Jane Altschwager had the serious Achilles injury. She's just come back from that. And fair enough, she didn't have her best game. Her shooting statistics weren't up there.
Heinrich, Medhurst, the Von Bertos, and it's Mutton at wing defence. And Edwards and Reddy under Margangove with her 150th game. And there are the Jaegers: Altschwager, Wellham, Katie Bradstock, Reagan Jackson, Jane Menzies, Kim Purcell and Danny Harvey. And Emma Costa's the other circle defender in the mix that John Fletcher may call on. Heinrich. And an early miss from her as Purcell also pulls down an uncontested rebound. Harvey looking for an option. Menzies, super fit player, went up to Newcastle on Monday to talk to John Fletcher and to watch the players train, and there were some girls putting in some pretty hard work. I think they felt disappointed in themselves.
They certainly do. Having spoken to John Fletcher during the week, the girls were very disappointed with their performance. And mind you, they really haven't had a long period training together during their pre-season. When John Fletcher arrived to coach the Jaegers only 12 weeks ago, he only had 5 of his 12 players available for training.
Heinrich, a quick give off to Laura von Berto and Medhurst now for the 2-0 start, and they've got it.
Great pressure over the shot by Purcell. A better match-up in terms of size. Last week she was up against Kate Beveridge, and there was about a 10 or 12 centimetre height disadvantage against her, so much better match-up against Medhurst.
Bradstock. Well, we'll come back across to Reagan Jackson. And they've got a few players out now. This should make it an easy option to find Wellham. Oh, Olschwager wasn't expecting that. And still with the Jaegers, they're making hard work of it. They had a nice, comfortable setup there.
They certainly did. When you've got one defender against 2, it should be an easy shot at the basket.
Well, there's a holding call against Reddy as Olschwager's getting a thorough working over. As a former South Australian, of course, they're all too familiar with it.
And a former Thunderbirds player. Jay and I marked up against her in the 2000 Grand Final when she was playing with Thunderbirds.
Medhurst off to Heinrich.
Fantastic defensive pressure by Harvey.
Bomberto didn't know where the ball had gone, and Harvey was quick to swoop. Purcell on to Jackson. Quick ball. They're moving it around quite nicely. Got not much to show for it yet on the scoreboard. Olschwager. Wellham makes the move. Bradstock. Wellham. Sitting 2 back on Jane.
They were, but that was oh, goodness. What an awkward land by Jane. I just thought she should have pulled that last ball in. Attacking-wise, the Jaegers are looking a lot more comfortable. Oh. Very uncoordinated.
It looked awkward.
It's awkward.
Wellham. So 2-2. 4 minutes gone at Etzer Park, and Reddy is reading it well. And looked at Deb Farrelly and said, who's got the throw in? And it went the Thunderbirds' way.
Pass by Bradstock just needed to be a little bit higher. Jane Olschwager's got the height advantage against Reddy.
Hold on, fans, this side. There.
Medhurst.
Shortening, both out.
So Medhurst 2 from 2. Heinrich 1 from 3. Laura von Berto to Heinrich. Von Berto again, and Heinrich has rolled along the baseline away from Harvey.
The famous Heinrich move. She does it incredibly well and manages to find so much space.
Over 9 minutes gone. Von Berto. Medhurst to Laura.
Great drive by Medhurst. Purcell just on the wrong side of the body to have a crack at that intercept. They've got an opportunity now with the rebound, but missed it.
Medhurst. So 5:10 left in the first quarter. Harvey cleaned up by Heinrich.
Just the Jaegers putting each other under so much pressure. On one foot, throwing the pass way ahead of each other.
Heinrich, good use of the bounce pass. Oh, and Purcell.
That clean intercept, disappointing from a defender's point of view when that happens.
The transgression came just earlier. John Fletcher chewing the nails down with Rob Wright, assistant coach. Purcell to Altschwager. Bradstock. Almost gave that to Reddy. Oh, and that is going to be the Thunderbirds' ball. She's worked that off the face of the luckless Altschwager.
Altschwager with a no-look pass into Wellen. Reddy tried to hit it in and, yeah, got Altschwager fair square in the face.
And volleyball, I think they call that a six-pack. Right in the face.
Both goalers out of the circle for the Thunderbirds. Good opportunity for the Jaegers to block them both out.
Medhurst. So a lead of 7 for the Thunderbirds. 3:25 left in the first quarter. As Medhurst gives off to Laura Vomberto. Heinrich just floats and takes it. Contact against Harvey.
Brilliant play by the Thunderbirds. Fantastic pass into Heinrich by Laura Vomberto.
Well, Thunderbirds have scored the last 3. Last year they won 70-42 and 57-40. That round 4 win by 28 goals was their biggest in the 4 times they played. In 2004, 51-39 and 60-42 for the T-Birds. So ready to bring them out of defence once more. Magnificent job to hold them to just 4 goals so far.
Brilliant effort by the entire Thunderbirds team to put so much pressure on their opposition.
Oh, as soon as you say it, over it comes.
It's always the way.
Menzies. Back to Purcell. Jackson. Wellham. One of those matches in 2004, the 60-42 result. Lara Wellham shot 19 from 20. I'd love another display like that. Nat Vomberto.
She needs to get more of the ball to have that opportunity to shoot in that percentage.
Heinrich nearly guilty of a hop there.
Great anticipation by Purcell. She saw the ball up in the air in the pocket. Went for it with 2 hands and was awarded the penalty.
Bradstock. Altschwager. They're making all sorts of moves. But it's with Wellham on the baseline. Big shot, this one. And through it goes cleanly. Wellham 2 from 3. Altschwager 3 from 4. Just a paucity of possession in the circle where they've been able to get shots away. Heinrich.
A great understanding there between Heinrich and Medhurst. Heinrich had all eyes for Laura Vomberto in the pocket. Dished off a little bounce pass to Medhurst, who was coming along the baseline. Now we're seeing an awful lot of moves by Jane Altschwager. She's got the goal shooter bib on this week. And ideally, it might be best to see her as a focal point and staying back in the circle and allowing Wellham to do more movement outside the circle. She has got a height advantage over Reddy and could easily do some holding and pull in those high balls.
Heinrich. Nat Vomberto. Heinrich drives to the post. Trying to keep with her was Harvey. Sometimes, well, often, the player just is beaten by the ball if the pass is good enough.
Definitely, there was precision in most of those passes there. Jackson nearly had a hand to it, but missed it by centimetres.
Well, this is a dream first quarter for the home side. Mark Angover's got to be very proud of the team's effort here. And there's even room for improvement with the shooting at 78%, but defensively, a brilliant game from all players.
She's got plenty of talent on the bench as well, hasn't she? With Scholes sitting on the bench, an unusual position for her to be in.
That should be the last goal of the quarter, and it is. As Mark Ango rides in with some pleasure, I think, a 10-goal lead at quarter time. It is the Thunderbirds at Etzer Park, 15-5 over the Jaegers. So on we go. Second quarter action at Etzer Park with the Jaegers in a little bit of trouble, and they've made a couple of positional changes out there. With Menzies and Jackson effectively just swapping position. So Jackson back to wing defence, Menzies to centre. See if that can spark their mid-court. Just got to get some more ball to Elschwager and Wellham. Easy to say.
Yeah, it is when you're playing against a team as classy as the Thunderbirds. The entire full court pressure of the Thunderbirds was what was the standout to me in the first quarter. So if they can keep that up, the Jaegers will have to work extremely hard in this quarter.
Medhurst. Heinrich setting up a little bit of a helpful screen there, and in fact it was in such a good position she got the rebound.
An unusual miss for Medhurst, who was under the ring then.
Thunderbirds by 10 as it was at quarter time. Jaegers have scored the last two though. Touch from Mutton. Whoops. And Radstock just has to give up possession under pressure. Heinrich. Oh, and that's for Harvey.
Tough call.
Oh, when have you started siding with the goalers? What's happened?
Harvey had the best position then, but just didn't quite turn quick enough with that front position for the rebound, but then was still awarded the ball. So, unusual call.
Oh, well done, Bomberto. Laura it was. To Nat Bomberto now. And another double dodge this time from Medhurst. Another screen from Heinrich.
No goal,
No goal. Contact against Heinrich.
Heinrich and Medhurst do a lot of screening in their match, and Heinrich did try to screen off for that particular shot. It went against her, actually.
Elschwager quick to get to the circle. And Reddy, of course, is stuck 3 metres out of it. Wellham, and she's there in a flash.
Great screen by Elschwager. Not quite the placement she was after by Menzies.
I think Reddy and Edwards are playing with the enthusiasm you'd expect of defenders who are under pressure from the bench. Great competition for spots.
As we mentioned in the intro, 4 great players vying for 2 positions. So that these 2 players out there want to put out their best performance to stay out on court.
Heinrich. Nice delayed option to find Medhurst moving left and right.
Great pressure over the shot by Purcell. Didn't phase Medhurst at all.
That was nearly one for us, but 9 from 12 for both Heinrich and Medhurst at 75. Last week, Elschwager shot 67%, Wellham 72. I think to beat the Thunderbirds today, they'd need to be shooting well into the 80s and not giving away ball like that.
Certainly not. There's another no-look pass by Jane, I think, but just didn't quite make it through. Edwards in the right place at the right time, ended up with the ball in her hands.
Purcell carried that out the back, so that's Thunderbirds' ball. Heinrich. Purcell doing a good job. Nice little spin roll. What's the right term for that?
Just a roll off or you just
spin roll?
Yeah. I'm not up with the terms for a goal, Steve.
You put them on at the
I
other
would
end.
have caught it if I was playing against it.
Just out in Jaegers' possession as Nat Bomberto put the shoe across the line.
Only just. Even when it was heading out, you just have faith in the Thunderbirds players that they're able to hit it back on in court. Only just off balance, or just out of court, should I say, but she certainly had the balance to flick it back in, which she attempted to.
By a toenail. Bomberto, Edwards on the drive. Looks like she's really enjoying a netball, Mandy Edwards.
Definitely loving the run out at goal defence, but a little bit too quick down the centre of the court then.
She's had various foot and leg injuries and broken toe, and they thought was arthritis or something. former goaler for the Ravens, and of course the AIS, Mandy Edwards, a changing career, and it's really blossoming at the moment. But defensively,
Most unusual for a player to change position at a late stage like that in her netball career, but she's certainly proved that theory wrong.
well, she's got the height to be okay at either end, hasn't she? She's well over 180 centimetres. Altschwager put under a heap of pressure, got to get the shot away quickly, does that and does it well. But just their fourth of the quarter in 7 minutes. Medhurst, Laura Von Berto.
Advantage offside wing, advantage offside centre, advantage in front and centre.
Heinrich. 25-10. The Thunderbird scoring has just been reined in a little bit in the second quarter, but they haven't offered too many more to the Jaggers. Have only added another 5. Heinrich. It's been a slightly messier second quarter, Liz.
It certainly has. There's been a few changes, as we've mentioned, with the Jaegers, whether it's taken a little bit longer for them to settle in. But, yeah, not as smooth, I suppose, as the first quarter was.
Jackson looking for Altschwager, finding her. Edwards well out of the circle to try and shut down Altschwager. Wellham, Reddy and Altschwager having a fine old duel. Out it comes. Contact against Reddy. Reddy with 6 penalties in almost half a game. I reckon that's pretty fair for a defender. Coach won't be cross with that.
It's a great block by Reddy after that shot against Altschwager. Really put Altschwager in a difficult position not to get her own rebound.
Heinrich just giving it back to nobody. The Jaggers.
Great contest by Brad Stockett. Mutton leaning over that transverse line.
Come on, step in. Medhurst. Edwards. 90 seconds left in the second. Oh. It's all a bit too frantic out there. The error rate has certainly crept up in this second quarter, particularly the last 5 or 7 minutes.
It has. The turnover rate, 21 against the Jaegers to the Thunderbirds 13. Medhurst creating a couple of more opportunities with her great defensive work down court.
Altschwager really arching back at full stretch to take that one, and Altschwager indicating to the umpire quite emphatically that she was being hit on the forearm with that shot. And the umpire just didn't catch a glance. He was either ignoring it or just flat out didn't see it. What?
I'm sure she would ignore it.
You paid to talk to me, not laugh at me, all right? Brad Stock.
Sense of urgency with the Thunderbirds attack line up there, and they were really pushing. It was like they were aiming to get, 40 on the board by the end of the second quarter. They've really turned up the heat.
Advantage offside.
Berto.
Advantage offside centre.
Medhurst. Last seconds of the quarter. And 16 is the lead, and that's probably all there will be. Is it. And just 7 goals added by the Jaegers and plenty by the Thunderbirds. Players are ready. 16 is the margin. And I don't know, the Jaegers, can't say they're out of it, but it's been a low-scoring first half. And Schultz is on for the Thunderbirds. Mutton has moved to centre. And the front half looks the same. And Narelle Either is on at wing attack for the Jaegers.
Advantage contact knock-off. Throwing,
I just think as a sort of general comment, the Thunderbirds have been relentless in their pressure over the ball. And when they don't have possession, they've got 7 defenders, which is what the coach wants of you.
Definitely, it just has been full court pressure from the Thunderbirds, but as Mark Angove said during the break, she's little bit disappointed with the scattiness of the attack end, but she was looking at changing that for this quarter.
Mutton. Medhurst. Heinrich and Medhurst. Medhurst up to 84%. She was 82 last week. And it's Heinrich who's dropped a little bit, but, you know, that's being picky.
Jane Auschwager holding very well in front. Edwards got caught behind then. Not the ideal position for a defender.
38 to 18. 6:23 left on the clock in the third quarter. The Thunderbirds chase their second win from as many starts. Bradstock is on at centre. So a slight change to the Jaegers lineup. There's Bradstock, who started the game at wing attack, now at centre.
Misunderstanding between Bradstock and Jackson then. Unfortunate. They just can't afford that type of error.
Bradstock and Jackson. Sounds like an accounting firm or something. Heinrich. Very tough to beat at home, the Thunderbirds. They've got the most impressive home record of any team. This is a real fortress, Etzer Park, and a good venue. Did you enjoy playing here, Liz? I mean, except for the toughness of the matches.
We used to love the court here, actually. I always found there was plenty of room, and even though it's the same size, court everywhere, it always felt like there was plenty of room for us to make our moves against the Thunderbirds.
You can always catch up with the news of what's happening around the league at the ABC Netball website. There it is for you, abc.net.au/netball for the results and stories, the goss, the news, the Todd Miller information. Oops, down goes Mutton. Jackson. Ether. Ether, you get it, or Ether, I will.
She'd love to hear those jokes, Steve.
Yeah. Not that she's had them all her life.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. I need to be pulled up occasionally, and you're just the girl to do it. Heinrich, well, just enlighten me. When you've got one-handed possession like she seemed to have there, although I don't think that was the call, it was more of a contact.
It was more of a contact.
Yeah, if you've just got the ball in one hand, as you're just catching it, and haven't got the second hand to it, are you an open target for the defender?
You are, definitely, because if the defender came through with two hands, it would clearly be their possession, as long as there was no contact involved.
Auschwager to shoot over Edwards. Oh, out it comes. How? It's just that kind of night, I'm afraid, for the Jaegers. Auschwager called for the deliberate contact, and Deb Farrelly smiling. Auschwager, she didn't make too much of a fuss about being admonished.
Medhurst in a comfortable position to shoot then, but preferred to pass it out to Mutton on the goal circle.
Well, Medhurst managed to draw both defenders. Heinrich left open. Purcell comes down with a rebound. They missed a chance there, the Thunderbirds, but they haven't missed many. 40 to 18. So again, a low-scoring quarter for the Jaegers. Just 6. Lomberto to Edwards. We thought that Demelza Fellows would get on in this game at some point, and she's still got one quarter maybe to take part. What do you think? Will Margang pull that trigger?
Well, neither teams are warming up. Usually leading into a quarter-time break, often the players head off and warm up. Demelza is certainly sitting there along with her teammates. I'm not sure if there'll be any moves in the next quarter.
Huge arc on that shot from Medhurst to get over the defenders, and they've scored 7 in a row. Ouch. 24 is the lead. And Thunderbirds on their way here. Last week, Jaegers beaten 67-38. I don't think they're going to get 38 this week.
And ironically, the score with the Thunderbirds and the Darters was 68-37. So very
close,
similar result.
Wellham. Ready. Good hold.
Good, great pressure.
Yeah, but a great shot from Wellham. 8 from 11 for Lara. Medhurst. Laura Bomberto finds Heinrich. Oh, Medhurst just looked like she had the slightly stronger hands there. That was a 50-50 ball.
It was, but Purcell was actually on the wrong side of the body, but yeah, could have nearly been a toss-up. Purcell needed to be a little bit more stronger with the take out of Medhurst's hands.
Yeah. Bradstock. Wellham to the corner, too short. Oh, and Scholes was offside. Just stepped into the circle.
Too easy for Scholes. She knows that circle so well. It's an unusual. You don't often, get her offside going for an intercept.
Altschwager, too long. Mutton. Oops. Oh, how did that find its mark? It did in Bomberto. And Mutton there for another take. And Costa on Medhurst. Another penalty. That'll cost her. Stop me. There's Demelza Fellows warming up out the back with Nat Bomberto. Oh, no-look pass and no result.
Well, it wasn't a great result, actually. Purcell's out of play for the 18th time in this match.
Absolutely hand on the shot there. I don't know how the umpire can miss that when I can see it from 20 metres away. I mean, sorry. You know I never criticise umpires more than 10 times a match. But that, really, I don't know whether that's the kind of thing that Jane Altschwager was referring to. The same end.
She was pleading for the umpire earlier, but the umpire wasn't.
Yeah. See, I wasn't even looking for that, and it just jumped out at me. Goalers must go nuts. You defenders are so dirty.
No, we're not.
Ready. There we go. That'll stop me. 44-19. It's three-quarter time as Jeff Farrelly takes the match ball. And the Thunderbirds, they're just going on with it here by 25. Last quarter action at Etzer Park. And straight away, a turnover. As Nat Bomberto works it through Mutton to Martin. So there are changes everywhere for the Thunderbirds. This might just upset their rhythm and teamwork a little with a handful of changes, but they've got the match so well in control, you would understand, almost expect Margango to put her bench players out there.
Why wouldn't you give the opportunity when they've got such a healthy lead? I'm sure the players will settle in quite nicely, and you might not even notice a bump in their sort of lead.
So the Thunderbirds look this way. Fellows and Poynton are the new circle defenders, and we've got Amanda Martin on at goal shooter and Nat Bomberto at wing attack. So Heinrich out of the game on 21 from 26, 81%, backing up from 86 last week. I think she picked up 3 points and was the most valuable player in the match against the Darters. Medhurst still out there on 24 from 28. Kimberly Gilmore is on at wing defence. Wellham and Altschwager have flip-flopped again, as they've done before in the match. Ether Altschwager back at goal shooter as she started the match.
Tough call then. Both players had hands on the ball. I would have thought it was Altschwager's possession, marginally. But Demelza will take that intercept down on her stats.
Thanks a lot, she says. Mutton. Medhurst. Coaches will be trying to get a couple of things done when you put on your bench players in a match you've got under control. One, you reward the players who train hard and are part of the squad. And two, you never know when you're going to get an injury and you're going to need your bench players to be slotting right in and playing almost or as well as the player they're replacing.
Definitely. The sooner you can get a player out there the better during the season. Marganga was well known in the past to have a starting 7 and consistent starting 7 for the entire year, and perhaps that caught her out a few times come finals time.
In her defence, I don't think she quite had the depth of players that she's got right now.
Years. Yeah. Fair call.
First time you said I'm fair all night, so I'll just mark that down. It's 20
late
minutes to 9. Yeah. Thunderbirds have put 4 together and lead it by 30. We would only have hoped for a percentage booster of this proportion, and it should see them still at the top of the table. Martin. Bradstock to Wellham.
Great defensive pressure by Fellows then, putting the block on Auschwager and keeping her out of the circle. A fantastic matchup actually, just with the height between Fellows and Auschwager.
So both teams have sisters playing. Now we have to think hard about any other teams that would have that. With Kimberly Gilmore and Reagan Jackson. I mentioned Reagan was, of course, Reagan Gilmore, plus the Von Bertos on the other side.
Very unique. Wouldn't their parents be proud, Steve?
Absolutely.
Another turnover by the Jaegers. Picked up by Fellows.
Oops. Fellows. Scholes. Make it 32 the lead, and the match has gone this way as far as the scores developing goes. 15-5 first quarter, and then a 13-7 second quarter for the Thunderbirds made it 28-12, and they've just gone on with it in the third. 45-19, and here we are at 52-20.
The cross-court pass by Bradstock to Auschwager, I suppose a big no-no from a coaching point of view. Bradstock's right-handed and it still have to go through all those hands, but turn it around with a great intercept and a great ball into Auschwager. Fantastic play in the end by Bradstock. After the bad pass of Bradstock, she's turned it around with a fantastic intercept and an offload to Auschwager.
Great. Auschwager. And margin back to 30. 9:50 left in the game, and the Thunderbirds are going to do the business. They've just given the Jaegers a chance to build some momentum here in the last quarter.
There hasn't been much opportunity for them to build momentum in this match with the pressure by the Thunderbirds.
And Martin, since being introduced for this last quarter, 5 from 5. So they're keeping up a terrific shooting percentage, the Thunderbirds. 85 for the match. Remember, Heinrich went out on 81%.
Great plays there. Medhurst finding herself under the circle with no defensive pressure. Costa wasn't too far behind.
Medhurst, Bomberto, Martin. Nicely worked with Mutton. Costa out. Gee, that 22 penalties against Purcell just leaps off the stats page. More than double any other player in her team. And even Bianca Reddy for the Thunderbirds hasn't yet got to double figures. 50 penalties to 26. They've been absolutely hammered. The umpire's right in front of me. Will I say it again? Either. Bradstock to Wellham. Oh, you've got to be just on the money because Fellows is almost as tall as Auschwager there. And she had front position, so that was a tough ball to get right.
In all fairness to Purcell, I appreciate the fact that a defender has to take risks and in doing so make contact and be penalised. But I suppose there comes a point in the game where you've really got to back off, adjust to the umpiring standards and certainly reduce the number of penalties that you do have against you.
Yeah, sometimes, depending on where it is, Liz, and you can expand on this, the penalty is more costly than others.
Definitely, particularly outside the circle. If you penalise outside the circle and out of play, it leaves your teammate, the goalkeeper or goal defence, goalkeeper or goal defence, on 2 in a circle, which is a really tough ask.
Ika under pressure from Schultz. The ball spilled away and she gets the contact call against her. Fellows.
It wasn't an advantage, definitely not an advantage for either. It should have been Jager's possession and they should have had an opportunity to take that penalty pass.
Oh, who's got it? No, nobody. Mutton's got a trip to the floor and Costa helps her up.
Unfortunate for Costa because she had a great attempt at that intercept then.
Costa and Mutton would be Data's teammates from days gone by, wouldn't they?
They would have, definitely.
Ika. That one from behind by Nat Lomberto. Well, it was play on. Good no call, I suppose. Contact against Schultz. Oops. Oh, one against Poynton helps out Wellham there.
Great defensive pressure by Fellows and Poynton. Good understanding. Poynton had that covered. It was unfortunate that she squatted down and contacted it with her behind then.
Oops. Good hands up from Gilmore. Thunderbirds heading towards 60 goals. Their biggest score against the Jaggers, 70, and that was last year in round 4.
I think they'll reach 70 in this particular match.
No, but
the big ask.
Yeah, the coaches do ask that you keep pressing on, build that percentage, because you know we expect things to be tight between Phoenix, Swifts and Thunderbirds. And boy, don't you want a home semi-final with a chance for a home grand final.
And more often than not, Steve, you're right, it does boil down to percentages. And Thunderbirds have always been very high and always sit top of the table with their percentages.
3:40 left in the match at Etzer Park as Gilmore finds Olschwager. Bradstock. And, unlucky. Fellows did just enough to put her off the catch and the ball spilled out of court, of course.
Great pass by Bradstock, who received the second pass in the pocket then, delivered it well. It was unfortunate that Olschwager wasn't able to hold on to it.
Umberto, and nice hands up from Gilmore to push the turnover the Jaggers' way. Giving it up in the middle though. And 38 turnovers to 21, that's hurt the Jaggers. I mean, their overall shooting percentage, Liz, is not desperately disappointing at 75%, but they've had only just half the attempts.
So they just haven't given their goalers the opportunity to have a shot at goal, like we were saying earlier, but lots of errors coming down the court, and errors that are certainly, there's plenty of room for improvement. And combinations, it is early days in the season, they've got a new coach, so there's, you know, a lot for John to work on.
Medhurst. And again, sharp work around the circle by goalers and feeders, and let's change the angle, open it up, and we do it so efficiently. 61-27, 2 minutes to go. And John Fletcher will be poring over the tape, the stats, and looking for improvement across the court. But Fellows just pulls in a very comfortable intercept. Oops. Scholes asked a little bit much of Nat Lomberto there, who can afford to smile at a teammate. Might not be a smile in a different game situation.
Unlike Scholes to throw a wayward pass like that, but not to worry.
Gilmore put under some pressure. That's good.
Well kept in.
Good defensive effort, as always. Contact against Fellows.
It's ironic that Olschwager's holding for the lob against Demelza Fellows, but didn't do it earlier in the match when she had the height advantage against Harvey.
That is a strong away.
Down it comes, taken by Costa. The announcement during the week that Anna Rowbury from New Zealand is pulling the pin on her international career. She's expecting a baby.
Fantastic news for her.
Just on the Thunderbirds news, Kath Harvey-Williams expecting, and so Sarah Sutter. How do they do that at the same time? Those girls who played together for so long will be having their babies pretty close together in time as well. And just seconds left in this one. When's yours due, Liz? 3 months' time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, another netballer, possibly.
Scholes.
Or maybe footballer.
Who knows? The Thunderbirds have certainly played brilliant netball tonight, and looking for something a bit flashy towards the end was Medhurst, and that is the end. Oh, what a win. What a win for the Thunderbirds, 63-28. That'll suit them just fine. And Margango can barely hold back a smile. She ought to be proud, particularly of the defence. But, oh, look, all up and down the court, there was something to be happy about for the Thunderbirds. John Fletcher can manage a smile as well.
We really wanted to start the quarters off strong and not have a bit of a slow start like we had the last week. And, yeah, I guess they came at us with the body and we stood up to it and played our game, so that we were happy with that.
And the Thunderbirds, Swifts, Phoenix and Orioles all have maximum points after 2 rounds, and that neatly breaks the table in half because the other 4 are all looking for their first win. At 5 on Saturday, the World Cup Bowls continues from Warilla. Many of the game's best players in action, and that is followed by Head-to-Head, hosted by Ashley Bradnam, the quiz show for sports buffs. Next week on ABC2, we return for what should be a great match here in Adelaide, our live match in round 3 between the Thunderbirds and Melbourne Phoenix. Hope you can join us for that one next Friday at 8 o'clock. Thanks for joining us today. A great win for the Adelaide Thunderbirds. I'm Steve Rebilliard for ABC Sport. See you again soon.
It's a Bucks weekend.
We lost.
That's gone from